And here we go.
Hey.
The Bottom Line, Thursday, December 30th, 2021. The last Bottom Line episode of the year here on the Woodward Sports Network. I'm your host, Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Romani. To my right, I have my boy Easy, filling in for the legendary Braylon Edwards. Easy, how are you feeling today on this Thursday?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm excited. We got an action-packed show, man. I'm excited to talk to our guests.
Yeah, we got a lot lined up for today. We got James Edwards from The Athletic, covers the Pistons. He'll be on the show about 2:30. And then we have Zach Shaw from 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports coming on to talk a ton of Michigan Wolverines later in the show as well. So we're going to have some fun with those guys. I've been following James for a long time. Great follow. The Cardigan King, as I call him. So big fan of his work. But Easy, I want to talk about, the end of the year. We're getting close to New Year's Eve. It's one day away.
Yeah.
What's your resolutions for this upcoming year?
Man, you just keep trying to get me to lose weight. You want me to go to the gym and stuff like that? Niggas kind of messed up, man. No, honestly, this week's been kind of chaotic, man. Doing all this and our jobs outside of this as well. I haven't really made resolutions yet. Do you do that? I feel like I never do resolutions.
I don't for the most part, but I do try to at least do something better. At least in the next year, is like I think there's always stuff that you can work on and become better at. For myself and like my podcast, I want to be more active on social media. I know I run the socials for Woodward, so obviously I feel like that's anybody, like, they talk about having, if you're a car mechanic, you drive one of the worst cars in the world, or if you're a greenskeeper who runs a golf course, you have the worst lawn in the world. Like, you don't want to go home and necessarily do the same stuff that you're doing at work. But my whole goal is to hopefully build our podcast a little bit better.
Yeah, for me, it's like if I want to set goals for myself or like expectations of things I want to do, I guess I don't need the new year to do it. You know what I'm saying?
You just start when you want to start, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what, like, for me, like, especially when I worked at a golf course, the season always wind down more so in November, right? So
yeah,
I would at least try to start working out like when November started. That would be kind of like my new year and how I would get like my new year, I guess, started. I'd start in November, I guess, versus January 1st.
I don't want to break you guys up, but Leach, when you were just saying, people don't want to go home and continue their job, this is exactly why I didn't pick being a gynecologist for my career. Yeah. So I didn't want to be tired of it when I went home. So that's exactly why I'm here today. I did not want to be a gyno.
Well, I mean, some people need the extra work in the world, Stick, and I don't think too many people would be upset if you did that on your off time. I
mean, I am an amateur gynecologist, but I did not pursue it as a profession.
Amateur is the key word in all of that right there.
Yeah, there you go. Honestly, I feel like if that were your profession, you might think of that a little differently in the home life.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably see some things.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why Stick chose radio instead of gynecology.
Much better.
I hit the Google images on that one. I decided not to go there.
Well, Easy, a lot of football to talk about this week. We've got Michigan State playing the Peach Bowl tonight. We've got the Orange Bowl tomorrow with Michigan. We've got a huge NFL slate on Sunday. I actually didn't even realize until I was looking at the matchups for this week that you have every game is on Sunday this week except for the Monday Night Football game. No Thursday night game this week. That's all for the bowl games. So action-packed Sunday, and I hope everybody at home has Red Zone because you're going to need it.
Yeah, so why that, though? Why no Thursday Night Football? Because that kind of put a damper on my plans for the night. I mean, I have Michigan State, obviously, look forward to, and thankfully so. If not, like, to be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of these bowl games, man. Like, if it weren't for Michigan State being in the Peach Bowl, I probably wouldn't have watched that, depending on who was in it.
Are you going to actually watch that tonight? So, I mean, that's kind of one of the topics I wanted to talk about, getting into today's show is, outside of the college football playoff games, do these bowl games actually matter to anybody? I get for the players, you got some players that are trying to improve their draft stock, trying to convince teams, to pick them in the draft or even take them as an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
But to a football fan and people viewing these games, are you a fan of any of these besides the college football playoff?
No, I'm not. Obviously, other than so for me at this point, it's all about the matchups. The bowl games, there's, like you said, they don't mean anything. There's no, I guess the one that would have held anything for me would probably be the Rose Bowl. I'm a Midwesterner, and that's always been tradition here, kind of like the BCS championship for us guys here. But no, none of these mean nothing. They really don't. Again, other than like a matchup, like right now you have North Carolina playing South Carolina. Like I'd watch that. A little bit of a state rivalry there, but outside of that, no.
Yeah, and as you get closer to New Year's, right, you get your New Year's 6-day bowl game. So you got 4 games on today. North Carolina, South Carolina are playing right now. You got Tennessee, Purdue this afternoon, kicking off at 3. Then obviously Michigan State and Pittsburgh, and then later tonight you get Wisconsin versus Arizona State. So for me too, I'm with you on that. Easy. I'm not a person that is going to watch these bowl games. I actually used to watch a lot of these because a lot of these games had like a different feel and I guess different mystique to them. Even like the Rose Bowl, like Ohio State's playing in the Rose Bowl, and like you've already seen Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave say that they're not playing in that. And in years prior, regardless if you were playing in the national championship or not, like those guys are going to step up and play in that game. Yeah,
for me at this point in like the season, like if I'm going to watch a game, it's kind of like for like draft implications. I'm looking at mock drafts. I'm seeing like who's rumored to go to my team and what positions we need. And I think Penei Sewell, his brother, plays for Utah. I think I want to check him out just because we kind of need linebackers. He may be a sophomore. I don't think he's coming out of the draft this year. But I kind of have a hot take with these bowl games. Since they don't matter, no one's like that too excited. You literally have players sitting out of them. For their greater good, though. They want to go pro. They're going to get drafted to the NFL. How about the sponsorships of these bowl games? Why don't they put some money up? Make it mean something. You know what I'm saying? Like with the NIL, these players are already getting paid. Why not put like $1 million bonus on that bowl game? Kind of like in the pros right now, they have roster bonuses, they have the playoff bonuses, Super Bowl bonuses. If you want to make it to a bowl game and you want guys to actually participate in it and have it mean something, so we're not here talking to more people about them being boring and being meaningless. Make it mean something. Put some money on the line. If you want to sponsor the bowl game and these college kids, I think it just makes sense.
No, that actually makes a ton of sense. You're the first person I've actually seen say that, and Stick's kind of not in his head.
It's the smartest thing I've ever heard come out of Easy's mouth.
Yeah.
That is brilliant, man. Treat it like the dunk competition. When you're trying to get premier talent to continue to play, money, baby. Just pay the man.
And obviously, I would have to look further into the NIL and see what they're allowed to do versus what they're not. But if this is a format they're going to continue to do with only having a 14 playoff, and that's a discussion we'll have here in just a moment of that possibly changing. Yeah, add some bonus. Like, hey, like you're the sponsor of the Rose Bowl. Throw a couple grand at Olave or Garrett Wilson, because like those are the players you want to see.
Yeah, even put an extra bonus on the MVP. Whoever's the most valuable player of that game too. Sprinkle a little bonus on that too. You're sponsoring the entire bowl. You got money. You know what I'm saying? And like. It almost makes it competitive for the sponsorships too, because which bowl game is going to give you the most money. Who's going to be most excited to get to what bowl game, and I don't know, man. I think it brings some life back into it, because again, we're sitting up here talking about how boring it is. Like, put something on the line. That's something everybody, the coaches, players, and make it to where like you have to suit up to actually earn the check too. Because like obviously you have a guy like Kenneth Walker, and I'm not disrespecting him at all. Like I totally understand with him sitting out, and same with Kenny Pickett. But those guys aren't suiting up, so they wouldn't get a check. But if you want the check, suit up.
Yeah, and to be honest too, is like some of these guys might still even sit out like couple $100,000 here, still not worth maybe the millions.
But that's where that MVP bonus comes in. Like I'm the man for my team. Like I can make like 500. I mean, I don't know how much it would be, but obviously those rosters are pretty damn big. But I don't know. It just makes sense.
No, that makes it's unbelievable how much sense that makes. Again, I don't know all the NIL rules, so there could be something that we're missing here of why they're not doing something like that right now. But looking towards the future, obviously there's been rumors going around. They're going to move to a 12-team playoff. I know some people even out there want a 16-team playoff. But for me, the way it's set up currently is you're kind of in a 3-week lull from when Michigan and Ohio State played, then Michigan played in the Big Ten Championship in the first week of December, and now you're kind of just waiting around, to get to these playoff games. And for me, I switch my focus. Is now you're getting to the end of the NFL season. My football focus goes to the NFL, and I don't really care so much about college football anymore. But if they went to this 12-team playoff, then you have games for these next 3 weeks or so, and it'll keep everybody's interest. And I think it'll be good for college football, but for these players as well, as they're playing in more important games. Is how do they play in not just one important game a year, but 3-4 playoff games? Like that could really change somebody's draft stock.
Yeah. Extra opportunity to showcase your talents. The only issue with that is with the players not being paid. unfortunately, that's extra risk for those guys. Play these additional games, and you may not necessarily be in the national championship for it. That's where it gets a little hairy, and I think that's where you'd see a halt to it. At least 12 teams. I can see them expanding a little bit, but I don't know. 12 is kind of steep.
I like 12 just because I do believe the top 4 teams should get a bye. I like that aspect of it. You would have had teams. Michigan State would have been in there this year. Notre Dame. It just makes more meaningful football.
No, absolutely.
And some of these teams that you talked about is okay, if Cincinnati is as good as they are, they got to beat at least 2 top 12 teams to get into that final.
No, I 100% agree. And I think it also, I'd have more respect or, I guess, more faith in a lot of these coaches as well, because it is what it is. College football, one of the reasons why I don't love it as much as I love pro football, and I get people say the kids are out there trying a lot harder than you see in the pros, which I don't believe, but I get, I hear that point often. But they schedule a lot of cupcakes. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these teams, their schedule's built off of games. They're going to win. But if you did a playoff series like that, you'd have to see these coaches go against other teams of their caliber. And I know we see it in the bowl game every once in a while too, but I don't know, man. I love either or idea, honestly.
Yeah, I like I said, the playoff factor has definitely ruined some of these bowl games. I remember watching the Fiesta Bowl, I think it was, between Oklahoma and Boise State years ago, and that was a phenomenal game to watch. And that's not a game that, if you said Oklahoma and Boise State's playing this year, I'm not going to tune into it because you're just looking for those final 2, the final 3 games, the 2 playoff games, and then ultimately the championship. So I don't know exactly. I think I know the right call. I think you have to go to 12 teams. It makes it more interesting for that 3-week lull. But I'm definitely looking
come out
forward.
That pocket.
Yeah,
spend some money.
Exactly. So, again, Michigan State versus Pitt tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about them, but currently Michigan State favored by 3.5 points. And you know where you can go and bet on that easy?
I don't, Nick. Why don't you tell me?
To mybookie.ag. They match up to 50% of your initial deposits or any deposits at all. So make sure you head over to MyBookie. Remember, in honor of John Madden would want you to bet on this game and use MyBookie. So head over to mybookie.ag, use code Woodward, and get all of your deposits matched up to 50%. This is the bottom line. We'll be right back.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
And we are back. The bottom line, I am Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani. To my right, I have my boy Easy, filling in for Braylon Edwards. Easy. Before we went to break, we were talking some football, some college football. But I want to shift the focus to the NFL. Like I said, a lot of games going on this Sunday, a lot of playoff implications in Week 17. Looking at, the lineup of all these games we have here in front of us, which one really jumps off the paper at you?
I got a couple of them, actually. In prep, I was looking at it, and I got 4 games, if you don't mind.
No, let's hear it, baby. It's football season. Let's go.
I'd like to start with Miami and Tennessee. Miami's in that 7-game win streak. I did some deep diving into that win streak they've gone on, and not a lot of good teams there. They played the Jets twice, Jacksonville.
You made mention of that on the show yesterday. I knew you were going to kind of come with some fire today.
Yeah, and so we have Tennessee, who's top 4 to make the playoffs. So they're winning the division, it looks like, and obviously Tennessee is hampered by some injuries too. We got Derrick Henry gone, but still, I just like to see the legitimacy of Miami in their win streak, and if that carries into a game versus a Tennessee who's well coached by Mike Vrabel. The number 1 game on my list, though, is KC versus Cincinnati. All day.
Talking my language.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's my game of the week that I have on my sheet as well. You get to see, Joe Burrow coming off that 525-yard game last week.
Yes, sir.
Got all the confidence in the world. Joe Mixon looks awesome for them this year. Jamar Chase. T. Higgins has emerged of late for them. But then you're playing in Kansas City. That's kind of the target everybody wants to achieve is trying to compete with a team like that. And, Cincinnati's getting up there with that firepower. Kansas City, obviously KC didn't have Kelsey last week, but they get Tyreek Hill, who only had 2 catches last week as well. So that is definitely the game I'm looking forward to the most as well.
Yeah, it's a possible AFC conference title matchup. And another thing too is it could be a coming two for Joe Burrow, a guy we just saw throw for over 500 yards last week. I mean, I walked past to do prep today, and I see on SportsCenter they're comparing the guy to Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know if that's because of the matchup this weekend, but like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. He does have a great receiving core, and this may be a hot take. I don't really think it's a hot take. I think it's kind of common sense based off his weapons. But I think Joe Burrow might be able to outduel Patrick Mahomes and Casey. Obviously, Casey's a tough place to play. But, with the weapons that he has between Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Boyd, like, that's nice.
And Uzama, too, has stepped up and been a great tight end for that. If you got them in fantasy, whew, boy, I got Jamar Chase on my team, so I've been loving that.
They're actually at Cincinnati, too. I apologize. I said KC. I thought I heard you say earlier in the show. But, no, they're in Cincinnati, so even more so in that case. Is that a hot take? I mean, can you see that happening?
I can. So my little theory that I've had all year is that Patrick Mahomes hasn't been the same Patrick Mahomes that we've seen in years past. And, when he got that concussion in the AFC Championship last year, well, that was, brutal to watch. It was definitely a weird play. He had a concussion earlier this year where he was knocked out for a minute. And to me, I'm not saying those concussions are exactly of what's throwing him off his game completely. But to me, it's not the same Patrick Mahomes that we've seen in years past. And not saying it, like, again, it's not a hot take.
Are you saying that man got knocked silly?
It's hard for me to not look at those games and say there's something just a hair off. Like, we've seen some of the incompletions. Like, they had a 4th and goal play a couple weeks ago, and he threw the ball literally right into the dirt, and he had, like, Tyreek pretty much wide open in the end zone. And I get he was under pressure a little bit, but these were throws in the last couple years that Patrick Mahomes would have never missed in a million years. He would have made this look into his left.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything to do with as much as like concussions or anything like that. I think it's more so to do with them getting figured out a little bit in the Super Bowl. I mean, we saw Patrick Mahomes last year in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady, and obviously Tom Brady won. And I hate to credit Tom Brady, but he did his job. But what we saw out of Russ, and Darius Slay actually brought this up to me too, is Patrick Mahomes is always looking for that home run play. There could be checkdowns there, but he's always looking for the home run play. That's why one of the reasons he's notorious for holding on to the ball almost maybe too long in certain situations. Like a traditional quarterback or a guy who's not as superiorly talented as Patrick Mahomes may get docked or knocked for that, by national media and whatnot. But Patrick Mahomes has a special ability to play make, and that's why he's able to hold down on the ball and run around the field and find someone open. But the only issue with that is he has guys open for like less yards, and sometimes he neglects to take him.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt he's been the most exciting player in football to watch over the last couple years. But now when you get Joe Burrow stepping up and doing what he's done, you could be looking at a potential game like we saw a couple years ago with, Detroit Lions QB Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes just having an all-out duel. Like, I think that final score was like 61-58 or something.
Talking about Sunday?
Huh?
You talking about the game this Sunday?
No. I'm saying it could shape up and be that, like you said, with all the weapons.
Yeah,
we could have that classic shootout from 2018, and I still say that's the greatest football game I've ever watched.
Yeah.
And I was actually in an airport while it was going on, so that matchup for sure excites me. Another one I want to talk about too is the only game that's not on Sunday is the Monday night game with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Came out today. Big Ben, you got to talk about it. Big Ben came out today and said this is probably going to be his last game at Heinz Field. So think about that. Big Ben's been around for how long?
Since I started watching football.
Blessed to have a lot of great family and friends, and they come to almost every home game anyway. So I plan on having a lot of amazing people at this game as well.
How did you decide to bring everybody out to Arrowhead or have everybody go to that one?
Like many marriages, my wife told me she was going.
It's Big Ben has been since I started watching football. He's been a quarterback, and honestly, I was gonna say maybe this is a topic, but I don't think it even is one. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, he won the Super Bowl here in Detroit.
Youngest quarterback to do it, I believe, too.
Yeah, with Jerome Bettis. So that was I know a lot of people in Detroit were rooting for the Pittsburgh in that game. just because of Jerome Bettis and his roots to Detroit. But, that's another one of those guys. It was for a long time, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. And it's crazy that Tom Brady is going to probably, I don't think Tom Brady's slowing down.
That actually is crazy now you said that and put that in perspective. That is insane. But he is insane. Tom Brady is insane. Like we talked about it yesterday. He's eating avocado ice cream. He's doing everything you have to do to last that long in the NFL or just in life and be young in general. He's doing all the right things that we're all not disciplined enough to do. I'm not eating avocado ice cream for a cheat day. That's insane. Avocado ice cream on your cheat day? Like that's nuts.
Yeah, and obviously Pittsburgh has kind of had their struggles this year. It hasn't gone the way. I mean, they're still 7-7. Think about that. Think about Pittsburgh having a down year. They tied to the Lions, but their down year is 7-7-1 right now. And they're still trying to flirt with a playoff spot there. But I like their chances. You don't think Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, if he's in there, and Najee Harris, they're going to give everything they got to make sure Ben goes out on top at Heinz Field?
They're going to, unfortunately, though. I don't think it's up to them. I think Ben needs to play a lot better than he has as of late. It's kind of reminiscent of when Peyton Manning, his final closing years of his career. He's all-time great quarterback. He's a freaking computer at the line, but he's throwing ducks from behind it. So, they could do their best. Ben's got to find it in him. And what's that old country song? I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
Yeah, exactly.
Big Ben, that's got to be him this Sunday or Monday, I should say. And
I wouldn't be opposed, to seeing that on Monday Night Football. I mean, granted, all the off the field stuff, people are going to say what they want. But just from a football standpoint, find that inner young Big Ben that took you to Super Bowls or won you Super Bowls. Like I think everybody would like to see that happen with the Steelers.
And speaking of him in his prime too, like he used to be like one of the most interesting guys to watch because when he played, he ran, but he wasn't the fastest. It's just like guys couldn't tackle him. It was like they just bounced off of him. It was the craziest thing. Like when Big Ben would run the football back in the day.
Well, and that's why he got the nickname that he did, Big Ben. Because the guys would just bash into him, and then like next thing you know, he's still trotting along.
He's still
downfield.
Just like fumbling. Fumbling for a first down.
It's definitely not the most athletic thing you'll ever watch in the world, but he's definitely entertaining, especially with all the injuries that he plays through week in and week out. That's something I always get a laugh at. Is no matter what, is like he's injured, but he's still gonna play.
Yeah, I got two more games I'm excited for too. So we spoke about a possible AFC conference championship game this Sunday. We also have the NFC version of that too, with Arizona versus Dallas. Now I know Arizona's been on quite the decline. Our Lions have been part of that, so kudos to them.
Shout out.
Yeah, shouts out. But Dallas is a tough team, man. But I'm not going to count Arizona out. I think obviously if a playmaker like Kyler Murray, and they even won games back when they had who was their backup quarterback in that little run they went on this year?
Colt McCoy, baby.
Colt McCoy.
Texas, great.
Yeah. See, they were winning games with him, so obviously they have like some sense of coaching in that team, and I'm not going to completely count them out of this game. I'm excited for that one too.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's that was another one that stuck out to me. But what for you? What do you think is kind of an upset pick? As what team do you think can go out and lay a beat down that you're not quite expecting?
As far as an upset goes, I'm honestly going to take. And this is the last game on my list I'm curious about, and partly due to Stick, and the last time he was on this show, is Tyler Huntley in the Baltimore Ravens. He just came off the COVID list, and they're playing Matthew Stafford now. Everyone in that AFC North division is kind of up there for a playoff spot, so they have to win this game. And obviously Matthew Stafford's been prone to throwing interceptions, as we've seen 12 years here in Detroit, and later on this season too. So Tyler Huntley, Snoop Huntley as they call him, I'm excited to see him. He's a possible quarterback candidate for here. Possibly, I mean, I'd be excited to have him here.
I do think it's interesting how these teams are starting to find quarterbacks that are going to replicate, their starter. As they went out and got Tyler Huntley, who's literally kind of just a replica of Lamar Jackson. And, you plug him into that offense and he works just fine. So, like, that's been an interesting development for me, is watching that unfold. But, yeah, you're right. It's, Cincinnati's got a tough matchup with Kansas City.
Yeah.
If they lose, then and Baltimore beats LA, which LA has to come all the way to the East Coast, which West Coast come to East Coast. I mean, that's a battle in itself. But that is one I was thinking was my upset. But the team that has been playing decent of late is shout out to Davis Mills and those Houston Texans. They're taking on San Francisco this week, 405 game, and those guys seem to get a little bit of confidence going right now.
It's funny because, you know, one of my favorite broadcasters, or I don't even know if you call him a broadcaster, but Pat McAfee and everyone, you know, when they went with Davis Mills over Tyrod Taylor, everybody kind of clowned them as an organization. I mean, even in the offseason, we kind of clowned them as an organization. When they hired their coach, you know, people were picking on them for being old and, you know, not with the new era of football. And, you know, here they are, upset Central all season. Now, no one expected them to win as many games as they did, and they've looked damn good. It's obviously not damn good, but they're not. They've won way more games than they were supposed to, and they've beat some dog teams too.
Davis Mills, like, that's a guy that if the Lions were able to pull a guy like that out of the 4th or 5th round, I would be ecstatic.
Oh,
ecstatic.
Yeah.
And when I was filling in for Ryan Armani with Braylon and Maz, when I said that, they looked at me like, Davis Mills, are you serious? But watch the kid play. He's a good baller, man.
He threw a bomb last week. I wish that I didn't know he was gonna come up in conversation, but I would have pulled the video. He threw a bomb last week, Nick Leach, and when I saw that touchdown, I was like, because it was one of those ones where the corner was right on the guy. He threw it just over the top of his shoulder where only he could catch it, and it was like just one of those pretty passes, which is like I don't want to whistle to the mic because I don't know what's going to do to our listeners, but it was a pretty one. And
drop it in the bucket, baby.
There you go, drop it into the bucket. It was pretty. I was taken back by surprise for sure.
Yeah. Do you actually know where Davis Mills went to college at?
I don't know. I'm gonna ask my good friend Google here real quick, and Google says Stanford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Northwestern Tech.
Okay. NorthwesternTech.edu?
Yeah. You ever heard of it before?
Yeah, I think you can start a new career with heating and cooling and the HVAC systems. That's the school for you if you do want to start that. If you want to start a new career, head over to NorthwesternTech.edu.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Putting on a show here, and that's how you answer.
We love our sports. We just wish they'd love us back. Detroit sports for Detroit sports fans. Woodward Sports.
And we are back. This is the bottom line here on Thursday, December 30th, one day before New Year's Eve. And Easy, you thought it'd be a good idea, to reach out to your network and bring on a very special guest.
Yeah, James Edwards. Is he on the line by chance? Yeah, I want to get him on real quick because I did want to ask him a question. Obviously, we have a bunch of lists of Detroit Pistons questions, and he broke the news, at least to me, on Twitter, that Julius Randle just tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, not a good. I'm so sick of this COVID thing, especially when it comes to our Detroit Pistons.
Dog, everybody's out. Our entire lineup. It sucks because we spoke on it yesterday a little bit. Like I want to evaluate this team and I guess have an actual take when it comes, especially guys like Killian Hayes, who people are already ready to trade away. People talking about trading Sadiq Bey last week too. Like it's tough to get a feel on what we have now because these guys aren't been able to play together. Yeah,
I agreed. And let's bring James on in now and get his opinions and get his thoughts on everything that you just kind of brought up, Easy. So, James, welcome to the show.
What up, though?
Hey, appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Got to have the king of Pistons Twitter come on and talk some Pistons with us. So
I don't know if that's me, but I do my part. I play my part.
Who would you say is the king of Pistons Twitter?
See, I look at Pistons Twitter like it's the fans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're involved because they follow the team and we cover the team. I'm gonna roll with my guy Nick Henkel, man. I think that's the king of Pistons Twitter. Shout out to him and the Bun and Cardigan show, and yeah, that's my guy. I'm gonna go with Nick.
All right, the first question I had prepared for you though, especially after the Julius Randle news, is can you play point guard?
I can. I'm just not in shape right now. Give me 2.5 weeks to get my cardio back up, and I could give 7-minute stints in each half. That's about it.
Obviously, James, we watched the Pistons, fall to the Knicks last night, 94-85, and they were holding their own. At least that first unit on the floor, the starters were doing their part, and as soon as they put the second unit into the game, it just fell to the wayside. And to be expected, a lot of these guys are on the G League team, and still trying to adjust to the NBA level. And obviously, I want to get your thoughts on some of the guys. Like, we've seen Derek Walton come in and step up. Luka Garza's definitely had a bigger role. What do you take away from some of those guys that have filled that position?
Yeah, I think Derek Walton showed that he is has had a taste of NBA basketball before. He's played over 50 career games. He looked competent out there. He wasn't sped up all the time. I think he could be a team's third point guard, like an emergency point guard, and I think they would be fine with that. He's got a good pace. He was setting guys up. Obviously, a lot of turnovers, but he hasn't played at that level in a while. Had 9 assists or 8 assists. So, I mean, yeah, he's a guy that if you needed an emergency third point guard, I think he would be serviceable. Outside of that, it wasn't the best showing from the G League guys. I think they shot 18.6% from the field. Everybody not named Sadiq Bey and Hamidou Diallo, which you don't expect much from that group, but you probably expect more than 18% from the field. Luka Garza has had moments where he scored the ball well, but last night for him to play 39 minutes and only have 4 points, especially with kind of his deficiencies on the defensive end, he's got to give a little bit more offensively. But yeah, other than that, it's kind of slim pickings. I think they're just trying to get through this phase of the COVID outbreak and get some NBA guys back.
Yeah, and I guess you could say maybe one out of the positives out of this whole COVID situation has been the reemergence of Sadiq Bey. This was a guy, that I actually talked about on my podcast during the preseason as was going to be the X factor for this Pistons team, and he struggled for the first 20 or so games of the year, and now he's going off on a clip for his last 7 games. He's been lights out, and I know a lot of people are saying it's a part of that headband. So what are you seeing from him, that's really kind of turned his season around?
I mean, there's a few things that it's hard to pinpoint, and we're going to talk to Dwayne here about it soon. I think, just to put it simply, he's making shots he wasn't making for the first couple months of the year. Like, he was not shooting well from 3, and those shots are falling at a better clip. And I think it does help. Like, of course, it comes kind of parallel with him putting on the headband, but it also comes parallel with Jeremy Grant being out. There's one less guy, kind of ball-dominant guy, moves Sadiq up the pecking order, a little bit more room to operate, to feel the ball, to get in the groove. I would imagine that if you ask people, that probably has helped him. He's had some more sets run from him out of the 4. He's played more 4. So it's a lot of things, but I think the overarching theme is he's hitting shots he wasn't hitting, and the shots people kind of expected him to hit to start the year. And I was never really worried about the shooting. I always kind of figured it would come around. The guy has shot well at every level, and to think he just couldn't shoot anymore would have been ridiculous on all of our parts. So for him to get it together, it was a matter of time. I'm sure it took a little bit longer than Pistons fans wanted, but he's been balling kind of this past 9 games or so.
Yeah, it was tough for me to, I guess, evaluate whether it was a true break of the sophomore slump or, like you said, Jeremy not being there and him having to take, more of the load and scoring with all these guys out. But I did want to ask. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's part of that, but I also think it's a good sign. His efficiency is good. It's not like just big numbers. Like he's been fairly efficient, and obviously teams are focusing on him pretty high up the scouting report. But so for him to have fairly efficient numbers is a good sign.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask this team in general, kind of going through a little bit of a sophomore slump, because we don't see the fight, I guess, that we saw in the roster last year. I was kind of wondering, what's your take on that? Is it a chemistry thing? Like, what's going on with these guys? Because last year, yes, they lost a lot of games, but they're very competitive. When we saw them take down a couple of Giants throughout the season too, like, what's going on with this team this year? Are they still gelling, or when everyone was healthy, I should say?
Yeah, a lot of people have made a lot of that kind of the competitiveness thing, and I would say a few things. I'd say as of late they've been pretty competitive. I think maybe only the Spurs game that I can recall off the top of my head that they've really got smacked around. That was an ugly game. But, I mean, they are younger than they were last year, which it does truly matter. Like, there's a reason that this team continues to fall apart in the fourth quarter. Like, you look at the history of young teams across the league, like when the game gets tight, the mistakes come, and that's just not a Pistons problem. That's a lot of the NBA problem when it comes to young teams. Yeah, I mean, for the start of the year, last year they had Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin, which are two veterans. Wayne Ellington shot the lights out of the ball. They don't really have that veteran presence this year. Kelly Olynyk's been out for 6 weeks. Corey Joseph hasn't been the same player he was toward the end of last year. Rodney McGruder is kind of an emergency player. So you're missing the veterans that you had a year ago. And the East has gotten better. I mean, there's only 2 bad teams in the East, and one of them is the Pistons and the other one's the Orlando Magic. And, I mean, you look across the board, all the other teams are great to good to average. So that has not been the case in the East for a while. Usually you could point to a couple teams that were pretty bad, your Orlandos, your Clevelands, your Bulls. I'm sure I'm missing a few. Atlanta to an extent. They just obviously started getting good. So, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit tougher in the East now. And when you have a young team, it's hard to – you got to learn to win. You got to learn to minimize mistakes, and it's a work in progress. I didn't expect this team to win more than 20-ish games, and so I'm not really surprised by what's going on. And I figure there'd be a few more blowouts just because they are a lot younger and don't really have the stable veteran presence that they did last year.
Yeah, I think that's very well put. You know, is people don't realize that role that Blake did have, even though he might have not been playing as much or playing to the level that they expected. And James, we do have a few more questions for you. We got to hit a quick break, so we're gonna have Easy give us a quick word from our friends at Fulling Warehouse, and we're gonna bring you back because we got a couple more questions for you.
Sounds good.
Yes, sir. And speaking of young guys tossing balls around and knocking stuff down, much like Isaiah Stewart, the Fulling Warehouse over in Hamtramck is a place that Nick and I are going to have our Fulling rematch. He's not going to have Sawyer to carry him to his dub this time. Make sure you guys are over there. They got a $2 mystery beer machine. What's more fun than randomly selecting alcohol? Honestly, this is the place where Fulling was invented. Make sure you guys check it out. The owner there, his name's Chris. You pay $10. You stay as long as you want. And guess what? Bring your own food. Bring grandma's mac and cheese. Bring whatever you want. It's yours. It's yours for the night. All you do is pay the $10 to get in the door, hit that $2 mystery beer machine, and we'll be back with James Edwards. This is Woodward Sports.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. I'm proud to partner with Hall Financial, the mortgage company known for 5-star service. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their 5,000 5-star reviews for yourself. Go to callhallfirst.com and get started with your 5-star experience today.
What's the over-under? Should I tease? Who is the lock of the night? Make sure you're watching Woodward Bets to get the latest in sports betting and more. Woodward Bets daily on Woodward Sports.
And we are back. The bottom line here on Thursday, December 30th. Myself filling in for Ryan Armani. Easy to my right filling in for Braylon Edwards. On the phone, we got the legend himself, James Edwards III from The Athletic. Pistons beat writer.
Cardigan King,
yes, sir. And we were talking with James, just before the break of, how can this young team salvage? What can they learn? And James was sitting there saying, it's learn to win in the fourth and close out games. But I kind of wanted to shift to talk just a little bit, James, as, we've seen with this fan base and especially a lot on Twitter that we've already talked about. Is everyone gets so trigger happy when it comes to trades and stuff like that. And obviously the big name going around is Jeremy Grant. You've heard all the rumors, floating with his name in it, Lakers as a possibility. What are your thoughts on that, and what do you think ultimately is Jeremy Grant's future here in Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's more of a possibility he gets traded than this time last year, last summer, just given where the team is, given that he's turned into a pretty valuable asset for Detroit. I think obviously Detroit wanted him in hopes of building him as part of their core, but another reason is they believed he could turn into an asset. And he makes $18 million, which isn't a lot for a guy that does what he does. And obviously, as you guys know, and see all the rumors that there are a lot of teams interested. So good pickup by Weaver, not just from getting a good basketball player, but also adding an asset to a team that didn't necessarily have very many of them. Do I think he gets traded? Yes, I do. I wouldn't bet money on it, but I do think it's likely. Just because, like I said, the team is clearly rebuilding. They need more assets. They need more kind of they call it strikes at the pot. Get more hands in the pot. get draft picks, young players. I think it'll be, if there is a trade, it'll be something mutual. I don't think Jeremy will be blindsided. I'm sure there's been discussions, will be discussions. I could see like an Aaron Gordon situation of I think last year where whoever trades for him signs him to an extension. I could see Jeremy being in the position now with 1 year left on his deal after this year that he wants an extension, and that's probably where you see some of the trade discussions coming, because obviously for the Pistons they have to consider if it's worth giving him bigger money given where they are. So definitely think it's possible. I wouldn't tell anybody to go bet money on it if it's on any of your sports books, but it's certainly
use promo code Woodward.
Something to monitor.
Yeah, and speaking of like young players too, if you guys are betting on sports books, by the way, use promo code Woodward at mybookie.com. But young players and fans being trigger happy. One that I'm kind of tired of, but also a little bit undecided on is Killian Hayes, and his name being brought into this conversation. He's just so young. It's only his second year, and I feel like you don't necessarily need every single player to be, a 5-star draft pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously it would help if it was, but, the way the NBA works is, there's some role players. And on a rookie contract, you're not paying him a lot of money. Like, is there any truth to that rumor, or do you see him making a move at any time, or do you think we should keep him?
I would be surprised if a move happened this year. I agree with you. Like, it's whether you think Killian has potential, whether you don't. It's still too soon for them to, I think, punt unless a deal comes up where it's just you're getting a better, like plain and simple, better player and a young player. I think getting Cade does, frankly, make him expendable. If there's a 2-guard that comes out, that pops up, that becomes available. I mean, obviously, as you guys know, you want Cade kind of being more of the primary ball handler. It does help, though, to have another guy who can handle the ball next to him. So I think it all kind of depends on what pops up and if it fits the Pistons' timeline and it makes sense. But I don't anticipate them moving on from Killian this year. I think they see him as kind of the steady ship right now. He's not flashy, but he kind of is a little bit of the glue of that first unit. So they like him. They believe in him. It's still too early to write him off or crown him. There are obviously positives in his game. Solid defender. The numbers might not show it, but he has improved in terms of attacking the rim. Just what you want to see from him as he grows. The shooting has improved. So it's marginal steps, but I mean, like you said, not everybody needs to make the giant leaps right away. And so I think if you look, you see improvements. So I just would be very surprised if they punted on him now, but you never know what kind of deals pop up.
Just a personal opinion, how long do you give a guy until you want to see something out of him? Because I know that was an issue here last year with Demboya, and that was a big thing too. Guys wanted to keep him, but I think it's like a 2-year max to see what you are. And again, some guys, you're a role player. I don't necessarily want to get rid of you because you still have value on this team. Like Killian plays great defense, but how long do you give a guy before you're ready and willing to pull the trigger?
I'm usually I don't know. I'm a little more lenient. It's usually for me 3-ish years, especially with this group of young players. They haven't had a normal NBA season yet. The rookie class last year came in with no fans, no training camp, no preseason. This year, how many of the guys are? Everybody except Sadiq Bey is in protocol. I mean, you can make excuses for both sides, but I mean, these guys haven't had normal seasons, so it's a little hard to evaluate. But usually, I mean, you just look at the league and see so many guys who, after a year, 2 or 3, can make pretty good leaps. I mean, Darius Garland wasn't blowing the world away his first 2 years, and now he's a borderline all-star. Jared Allen. I mean, I could go down the line. There's a lot of guys. Chris Middleton. There's a lot of guys. Spencer Dinwiddie. You guys all know him too well. There's always guys that maybe catch it 3-4 years in. And again, I'm not opposed to making trades and trading some of these guys if an opportunity situation presents itself that makes sense. But I don't know if it makes sense to get rid of them just for the sake of getting rid of them. And I don't think the Pistons have anywhere near that line of thinking.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the best way to say it too. It's like, when Killian was being drafted, he was not going to be the scorer. He was never going to be that guy. We knew that. You saw that in his prospect, and I know everyone wants him to shoot more and score more, but I look at a guy that I've admired for years, and Rajon Rondo, and he's never been a scorer. He's just a playmaker. Is can you provide those guys with the open looks? Can you spread the floor and make the smart decisions? And looking ahead, obviously it's hard not to do when this Pistons team's 5-28. Obviously they hold the best odds for that top draft pick yet again. James, I want to get your opinion of who's the guy that maybe you're already looking at that you've kind of fallen in love with. Maybe I don't know if you've fallen in one with between Chet Holmgren, Paolo Banchero, and Jabari Smith.
Yeah, I'd say Jabari's probably the clubhouse leader for me right now. I just like his game. I like his versatility. I like his fluidity as a player. I think he not only provides something the Pistons need, but he's interesting, and I think there's a lot of room for like all-star caliber player. I'm a little bullish, or not bullish. I'm a little weary of Holmgren. I worry about the size in terms of the frame, and I'm just I got to see it. It's one of those guys that if I don't pick him and he ends up being good, well, that's all right. Shame on me. I didn't see it, but he's a guy I want to see it before I don't know. There's something about it. It's hard to put a finger on it, but we'll see. Paolo, I like. I just right now Jabari Smith is kind of the front runner for me. I just like what he provides. From what I've heard, good character kid. I think he would fit right in.
And he was definitely a guy that kind of, flew under the radar to start the season. He wasn't really a talked about guy like Holmgren has, and he's flown up the draft boards at Auburn already. So that's kind of, it's a little bit of not saying underdog story, but it's huge development that, it could provide something good for the Pistons if you don't get that overall pick, because someone's probably going to take Chet. Like, I think all three of those guys, you can't really necessarily go wrong. I know you have your worries about Chet you watch him on TV, it's like he is pencil thin. Like, he takes pencil thin to a whole new meaning.
I agree with you on Chet, because you don't see guys like that. The one you do is Kevin Durant, but there's only one Kevin Durant in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not expected to duplicate that. It's just tough.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm just not sure he's going to be. Do I think he could be a good player? Yeah, of course. Do I think he's worthy of? If there's Jabari and Paolo on the board, would I risk it and take him over those two? That's where I kind of have my hesitation.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. How the college basketball season unfolds. It's going to be crazy to see how this Pistons team, gets back together and see if, maybe they can't flip the script a little bit, kind of what Houston did, is go on a huge run and win some games, build some confidence. But James, we want to thank you for coming on today, man. Obviously, we know you're pretty busy and covering this Pistons team, so we'd definitely love to do this again with you.
Let me hit one real quick one.
Yeah, what's up?
Could I get that follow back on Twitter? What's good?
Oh, I got you. Yeah. I thought I was already following you. We were DMing. I thought I already followed you. Yeah, I got you.
You're good, fam. You're good, man. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, James.
Appreciate you guys.
Take care. All right.
See you guys too.
See you, man. Thank you.
All right. Well, for anybody that may have missed that interview, you can always go to YouTube, rewatch it.
Yes, sir.
You can head over to Twitter. That video stays live on our Twitter forever. We don't delete that. Or, if you're in the car somewhere, you can tune in to 99.1 FM, The Roar.
Yes,
or you
sir.
go 93.5. Or you could go 94.7 FM HD. Like, there's plenty of options where you can hear that interview. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Woodward Sports, and we'll be blasting content to you day in and day out. The Bottom Line with Leach and Easy.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
And a miraculous catch.
Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
And we are back. How am I doing, Easy?
You're doing good, bro. You're killing it, especially in comparison to last time, bro. You're
I'm amped up. It's Thursday, our last show of the week. This has been a ton of fun, to do with you. Filling in for Ryan Armani, who I've always looked up to on Fox 2, and especially now that he's here. Braylon Edwards, we're getting to do Braylon Edwards. You're filling in for him. Kind of speak to that. I know we haven't done this. We talked about it throughout the week, where you're at a year ago. Did you ever think in a million years that you'd be filling in for the greatest Michigan receiver of all time?
Dude, this is such a blessing, man, and it speaks to I think just something that everyone should know is just don't. Anything can happen, man. Anything's possible. It's never gonna happen magically, though. You gotta bust your butt to get there, and it just speaks to that. The fact that I'm here is amazing, yes, but don't get it twisted. I put in the work to get here, and I made the commitment to it, and I think that's true in anything. Back to back when I was podcasting in the basement and speaking to guys like Glover Quinn and Darius Slay and all the UFC guys too. That's the one thing that kind of just kept me going too, is we held that all in common. They're human just like you and I, yet the only difference is the drive.
Yeah.
And some, athletic ability for, some of those guys. Some guys are freaks. Cam Newton's a freak. Stick does have a hip bone in the center of his chest. But but the main thing, though, even then, you still have to have the drive and the character to get there. And it's possible for anyone. You just got, it's between here.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things is being able to do something that we just did. James Edwards, who you really only see maybe a lot on Twitter, or unless you listen to his podcast as well. He gets to come on a live show. You get to see his face in action, and that's what's been cool for me throughout this whole process. And obviously, before we were talking to James here on the show, we were talking some football. We didn't even get to touch on our Lions a little bit. So they're traveling on the road to Seattle this week, 4:25 p.m. start. 2-12. Seahawks are 5-10, which is crazy to see that number next to their name. But Jared Goff, he got back from COVID protocol, and quickly is already questionable this week with a knee strain.
Questionable with the knee strain. Yes, he's questionable. However, the real playmaker on this team, DeAndre Swift, is looking to make a return, and I was kind of curious to get your take on this. Is do you think no? Do we not want him to come back and get hurt before 2022 campaign?
No, because I want to see DeAndre Swift, right? He's already kind of battled a few injuries this year. Obviously, that shoulder injury against the Bears was pretty nasty. So I want to see him. As much as, just a big proponent of shut it down. This team's playing good football right now. And when he left, they were maybe on the cusp of starting to play some really good football. So I want to kind of see him in this lineup now. Like I said, I hope Reynolds gets cleared by Sunday. So you have Reynolds. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who just won the December Rookie of the Month in the entire NFL for offensive player. So I want to see it. I want to see what this offense could potentially look like, going into next season.
Yeah, the fan of me wants to see him play. Absolutely, he's electric on the field. There is that little bit of concern. Is this necessary? We know what we have here in him. I know that Dan Campbell, with him, possibly playing, he spoke on. There's still things to be learned, but again, he was the most dynamic guy on that offensive side of the football for the Detroit Lions. Yes, Amon-Ra's come too. I still wouldn't say that he's as electric or playmaking ability as DeAndre Swift, but I don't know, man. It's I question it just a little bit. I understand it. Again, Dan Campbell made it clear. There is stuff he can still learn, and DeAndre Swift himself came out and said that he still wants to play, but it does make me a little bit iffy. Stick, what was your take on that? Because I know, you're not a big fan of guys sitting sometimes in football games. DeAndre Swift, you got a problem with it, or?
At this point in the season, I don't really have a problem with it, but my problem is this has just kind of been a recurring issue with him. So even if we sit him a couple games, does that guarantee he's going to be healthy next season? No. So I don't know. I go back and forth. I want to get him the reps. I want to get him out there. I love seeing the guy play. To me, he's one of the best running backs that came out of that draft. I thought we got very lucky to land him in the second round. CEH going above him and Jonathan Taylor was a crime to me. But I'd like to see him play, but I understand why they wouldn't, because this is a rebuild. We're building for the future. We're not trying to win today. And, look what we've gotten. We got Netflix out of it. So yeah. I'm happy if we can get these younger guys some exposure and some of these practice squad guys in there.
Yeah, and I fully agree with that as well, too. You can't really go wrong either way. You get them the reps versus you don't. I personally, like I said, it's selfish. Like Stick said, you want to see him out there because he is such a dynamic player. But obviously, you brought up Amon-Ra St. Brown and what he's done over the last couple weeks, and he doesn't really show any signs of slowing that down because of how consistent he's been. And I look for him, to be that difference maker on the outside for Jared Goff. If Jared Goff will play, I do think he'll go out and play because he is actually tougher than I think a lot of people give him credit for. But I like the Lions' chances in this. I truly do, especially if Goff plays, Swift is back, Reynolds clears COVID protocol.
Speak of the devil,
right there on the screen, Rookie of the Month. And he is the first rookie since 2010, since Javid Best, to win that honors in the NFL for also Offensive Player of the Month. So
for the Lions?
For the Lions, yes, sir.
Wow.
Think about that. Javid Best, what could have been.
Yeah, I'm trying to run through some names in my head. That actually, it makes sense. Damn, that's good for. Hey, he's shown it. Like, again, we've been completely depleted. He's been forced onto the field probably a little bit earlier than we expected, or maybe not. Maybe he's earned his way there, but nonetheless, he's performed. I looked at his numbers in comparison because yesterday, if you guys didn't know it may still be eligible for it. I don't know, but the Lions said if you go and vote for him for I don't know if it's for Rookie of the Month or the week, but they'll follow you back right now on Twitter if you do so. But obviously I did that. I just asked James Edwards for a follow, so obviously with the Lions to follow me too. But look at the numbers of him compared to like Jamar Chase and the rest of the guys on that Rookie of the Month or whatever was Rookie of the Week list. He was up there. Even more so than Jamar Chase this week. And obviously Jamar Chase started the season red hot, and I'm not saying he's that. They're totally different types of players. Amon-Ra's more built for our offense. He's blocking. And the comparison to Hines Ward I think is perfect for him. But this kid, man, the 4th round pick, to be what he is this early on, we've been gushing over Brad Holmes all week, but I have to do it again, man. Just seeing that Rookie of the Month just kind of puts a stamp on it. Like, damn.
Yeah, it's. Those are the small victories, right, that you take in a season that we've had. He's St. Brown has been with 2 different quarterbacks. He's played well with Goff and he's played well with Boyle. So you're like, okay, regardless of who's coming into the game, that's a guy that can be reliable for this Lions offense.
Absolutely, I love it, and shout out to everybody in the chat. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. I'm reading some of you guys' comments. I just seen a comparison from Amon-Ra St. Brown and Cooper Kupp. I don't know how I feel about that one. I think that's way off. Cooper Kupp is what he's known for. He actually has option routes, by the way. I just learned that about. So Cooper Kupp, he's not just running a set route and Stafford's hitting him. He's choosing where he gets to go on the field, and that's just a elite level of intelligence that I don't think Amon-Ra. I'm gonna say he can't have it, but he definitely doesn't have it in his rookie season with coming his entire roster coming on and off the field due to COVID and injuries. But that's interesting. I'm just going through some of these comments, and pretty interesting out there.
Do you think it's fair to compare a player in his rookie season to somebody else when he's trying to make a name, for himself? Like, you've seen the interviews, like you've seen people ask before, like, oh, who do you compare yourself to? He goes, well, I'm myself. That's who it is.
No, it is fair just because it's a way of articulating, what that player can do and what you think of his skill set. And in terms of, I guess saying it right to his face, I wouldn't do that. I think that's kind of silly, unless maybe it's more so a compliment. Like, I think Hines Ward, that's one of the highest compliments you get at the receiver position because he's notorious. If you guys haven't known, Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the first teams I started watching, as I said earlier in the show, because of Ben Roethlisberger and Jerome Bettis. Well, guess who I got to watch on that team was Hines Ward, and seeing him stick it to some of these DBs, man, just throwing them in the dirt like not nothing, and fan of mixed martial arts, almost like judo throws when you see Hines Ward out there. And I see the comparison, in Amon-Ra. And you even hear from his coach, Antoine Randall, who won Super Bowls and played with Hines Ward. And again, I think it's the highest of compliments. I don't think you should be offended or take anything to it when you say it like that. But again, these guys do have a bigger ego than myself that maybe drives them to the greatness that they're, playing NFL.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at the chat. Ghostface says that's the reason why Brown is shining right now. Reynolds opened him up with his wide body presence on the outside, and I agree to that. That's kind of a person that we've needed on the outside. Is you haven't had that that real deep threat that we've seen in years past here in Detroit, and that helps a guy like St. Brown evolve. It gets him open more. It gets him more reps, and like I said yesterday, it's unbelievable how much Reynolds has kind of blessed this team a little bit in a short amount of time.
Yeah, for me, and we're gonna find out too. I heard that take that you said there from who commented in the comments. Ghostface, shout out to Ghostface. Make sure you press that like button. But we're gonna find out this weekend because we don't have Josh Reynolds. He's in the COVID protocol. and we're likely to see Scudero Hodge. So I give more credit to probably Ben Johnson and even Dan Campbell, Jared Goff. All these guys are getting a little bit more familiar and comfortable because we've seen this offense change completely. We weren't seeing any receivers in the backfield. Well, we did see Khalif Raymond, but he is that type of player where he could probably play running back and stuff like that. But yeah, I credit Ben Johnson a little bit more than Josh Reynolds. I'm not trying to discredit Josh Reynolds. He's been phenomenal for us as he could be on a two-win football team. But I have to give Ben Johnson a little bit more of that praise. And Amon-Ra St. Brown and Amon-Ra himself too. Let's not forget he's a rookie, and it's probably going to take him some time to get in the groove of things.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch, and we're kind of guilty of feeding people that Kool-Aid and keeping them excited. We're not the Debbie Downers by any means, and I'm a positive person, so I look for those positive assets that you can have moving into next year. And speaking of Kool-Aid, there's nothing better that goes in blue Kool-Aid than Gypsy Vodka, the gluten-free Gypsy Vodka. You can get that from any store that you'd want here in Michigan. Michigan guys, support the local guys.
That's what I like about it.
All about supporting guys. Gluten-free. Try it on New Year's. New Year's would be the perfect time to try some Gypsy Vodka. I know I'm going to have a lot of it. Let's see if I can remember midnight. But make sure you drink responsibly out of everything. So grab your Gypsy Vodka, make some blue Kool-Aid, and the Lions could have a very successful year in 2022. This is The Bottom Line with Leach and Easy. We'll be right back.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate of Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Your Detroit alternative to the normal sports blah, blah, blah. It's Woodward Sports.
And we are back here on The Bottom Line Thursday, December 30th, one day before New Year's Eve, and everyone out there can make their New Year's resolutions. I am Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani. To my right, I have Speakeasy Baby, filling in for Braylon Edwards. And Easy.
Yes, sir.
The Orange Bowl. Pretty much here with Michigan football.
Oh, yeah. The chat, at least for the Bottom Line chat, they've been dying to talk about it.
They want to talk some Michigan football, so we better give it to them.
We literally getting yelled at for it.
Yeah, well, let them know. We got a pregame show here on our network that's going to do all of that for 2 hours tomorrow.
Tomorrow? What time?
5:30 to 7:30. You get Adam Stick himself. Ooh, there he is, Stick.
Hey.
And the Michigan great himself, Braylon Edwards.
Yes, sir.
They're going to break it all down for you. You can on YouTube, on Twitter. It's going to be live streamed. Anthony Broom will be on there, Michigan beat writer. So I know it's very popular with a lot of people out there. So we got a whole show coming up with you guys that going on tomorrow. So make sure you tune in. I'll be around. I'm going to take Maz's seat over there on that comfy couch.
There you go. I'm going to grab the other second chair. I'll put it next to you.
We stole the second chair. You're not allowed to sit there.
I'm going to take the second chair.
You know that scene in Forrest Gump? Can't sit here.
I'm going to take that second chair. Speaking of Michigan beat writers, though, we have one coming on here soon, and I'm kind of excited to speak to him, Zach Shaw, because right when you hit his Twitter page, he has a 3,500 word article, breaking down everybody on the Georgia side of the football, and I'm kind of here because obviously we work for Michigan Network. We have Braylon Edwards here and Ryan Armani, both alums of the University of Michigan, and we sip a little Kool-Aid, and also we just don't watch as much Georgia football. At least I don't. I can't speak for you guys, and I apologize for that. But I'm excited to see the breakdown of that team, and I know Zach is going to bring that for us. And I also want to know what's going on with Daxton Hill.
Yeah, well, let's get Zach in here. I believe he's actually down in Miami right now. He could be calling right from the hotel room.
What's up?
What up,
Zach,
man?
welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I am in the hotel room. I have to hide my, I guess, all the clothes we have laying around. We've been here for a few days.
That's what I'm talking about. How's the weather down there?
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah, it's been high 70s, low 80s. We got breakfast outside, just enjoying this. Trying not to avoid too much sunshine. I'm not very tan, but I don't want to get burnt before the game. But having a great time, enjoying the pool too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if that's a place like you'd want to go, I know the game could have been there in Dallas too, but I think a lot of Michigan fans, regardless of where it was going to end up, I think a lot of people are happy that it's down there in Miami. You get away from all the cold and nastiness that's going on out here right now. But obviously, a video came out yesterday with AJ Henning floating around on the beach, and a lot of people that we saw in the comments when we reposted that video is, they're worried about COVID. Is that something that the team's really too worried about, or obviously it doesn't seem to be too much of a concern if these guys are out having some fun on the beach, which rightfully I think they should?
Yeah, I think that's the tricky balance, right? Is some people are thinking, well, you got to have fun when you're on these bowl games, and I know the Bulls, they're all bummed, not just the Orange Bowl, but the other ones as well. I mean, they have all these events that they do every year. They help promote the local community. They have community service events. They have events with sponsors, because it is a business too, and I know they're all bummed that a lot of this stuff's getting canceled, but it's I don't know, it's supposed to be fun, right? And both teams, they talked about it. This is a hot spot right now, Miami is, so you want to be careful. But I think, if to my knowledge, the beach event was isolated. We weren't invited as media members. I mean, I think if we had happened to have gone to the same spot they were at, maybe we could have popped by or something. But they've been pretty good about isolating. Practices were closed. All the press conferences were virtual, and I think Michigan. It sounds like they're pretty darn vaccinated. Obviously, there's one COVID situation that everyone wants to know more about, but it seems like I'm not too worried about that beach day necessarily.
That's what I wanted to ask you about is Daxton Hill. Obviously, he's been in headlines all week. They're acting like it's a top secret message, which they've held it close to the vest every time they've been asked about it. What's the situation with him? I know he may be making a trip down to Florida now, but he's still questionable for the game. Is there any update on that?
Nothing juicy necessarily. I mean, a lot of my information is the same stuff that's already been out there. I mean, questionable game time decision. It is notable that they haven't ruled him out. Because I think if he was legit still symptomatic, or we all think it's COVID. I guess we don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
But if he were symptomatic or definitely. I guess still in that isolation window, because one thing that most of this country knows by now, but the recommended days of isolation dropped from 10 to 5, and it sounds like that was relevant. And so to me, that tells me that maybe there is a pretty good chance that he plays, and I think Harbaugh probably would have said no if he was out. Harbaugh does like to be weird about injuries. He's always keeping the vest, as you kind of mentioned, but I got to think if he was out, he would have been ruled out. And so to me, I think this is better than a 50% chance he plays. I don't want to make any promises, because really they are keeping everything on lock. Even with people that are connected and sourced and everything, they're keeping this kind of hush hush.
Yeah, and I know he kind of roams that secondary, back and forth between the safety and the nickel spot, and he kind of does a lot for the team, the back end of that defense. What do you expect this team to look like without him? Is it detrimental, majorly detrimental, I should say, to them in this their first ever playoff game?
Yeah, I mean, you need all hands on deck. They got a tough matchup coming, but I think it's quietly, of all the potential first round or high top, first couple day draft pick players that they have on this team, I almost think he might be one of the more replaceable, just because RJ Moten's sitting right there. He's not one of their starting safeties right now, but he has been their starting safety earlier this season. He does have legit, verified athleticism. He's not Daxton Hill, and I don't think Michigan would ask him to be, but he is someone who can hold his own, it wouldn't be this catastrophic drop-off. It would just be more of, okay, be really, I don't know if he would be on Brock Bowers. I don't know if he would be on, one of Georgia's receivers, but regardless, plan A is Daxton Hill. That's why he's the starter. That's why he's been the starter for 3 years. He's experienced, he's talented, physically gifted, but also just really good at the position as well. So it'd be a drop off. I don't think it would be the biggest drop off. I mean, I could probably name 5 or 10 players on this team where if they were missing that guy, it would be a bigger deal. So something they have to work with, something they have to be aware of, and if it's whether it's Daxton Hill or RJ Moten, or maybe they move Rod Moore up to that nickel corner deal or that star position, he's capable of it too. So. I don't think Michigan's not in a situation where they can make excuses, though. I mean, this is the big time.
Yeah, and I guess looking at that defensive side of the ball, Josh Ross has been a name. You've heard Ojabo and Hutchinson all year, but to me, Ross has been just as huge of a factor for this team than I think a lot of people are maybe giving him credit for. For me, that's kind of my X factor for this Michigan defense. That if you see him in the backfield, you're gonna see him all over the field. That's just the type of player that he is. Is that a guy that maybe George is not looking at enough, just trying to prepare for Hutchinson and Ojabo?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't know what George's game plan is, and Ross is their leading tackler, and it's not like he's a team captain, so it's not like they're forgetting about him. But I know Georgia, they love to throw to their running backs. They love to throw to their tight end. He's incredible. But they're going to try to do those things because Michigan's given that up so far this season. You saw Iowa. Iowa did nothing on offense except for a couple drives. They were able to throw to their tight ends and their running backs, and they could make some chunk plays. And Wisconsin, I think, was in a similar boat. If they had a better all-around offense, those 84 yards I think tight ends had, the Wisconsin tight ends did on Michigan, might have stood out a little bit more. And so this is an offense that's a little bit more well-rounded, and it's going to be a big challenge for the linebackers because Brock Bowers, he's going to be a lot faster than Michigan's linebackers. He's honestly faster than some of their cornerbacks who are starting. And so they're going to have to play physical. They're going to have to keep up. They're going to have to be really instinctive. I think to me, that's always been Josh Ross's greatest asset is people don't like his 40 time. People don't view him as an NFL draft prospect, and that's fine. He's happy with putting the chip on his shoulder and trying to prove people wrong. But I think one thing he is really good at is he's a fifth-year player who's been playing a long time. He's played a lot of football. He can premeditate some of those plays, and that makes up for maybe a little bit of lack of sideline to sideline speed. And so I think him, Nakai Hill-Green, Junior Colson, they're going to have their hands full because they're running backs. They don't have these crazy numbers. They're not
right.
asked to do as much as Hassan Haskins or Blake Corum, but they can catch out of the backfield. They can make plays. It's going to be a big challenge for the linebackers, and arguably probably the biggest challenge of that side of the ball, just to try to win that matchup.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that kind of stands out for me as well, too, is, you don't have that running back there like a DeAndre Swift that we just talked about or a Sonny Michel from years past. And it definitely, I think, for a lot of fans is how is this going to match up? And kind of flipping the script to Georgia's defensive side is how does Michigan try to slow down a guy like Nakobe Dean?
Yeah, try to go on the other side of the field of him, I guess. He reminds me a lot of Devin Bush, where he'll chase down everybody. He'll chase down receivers. He can get after the quarterback and really, I think if I were Josh Gaddis, I'd be kind of like almost looking at him every play and trying to figure out where he's going to line up. And that's what a lot of these coordinators do now. A lot of it's that chess match of putting guys in motion, seeing where Dean is going to be, seeing where some of these other really stellar linebackers are going to be, and just try to create a mismatch as much as you can. You're not going to win every play. Some plays you are just going to get beat, or your linemen are just going to have to, push and take on that, that pickup blitz and everything. And so you're not going to win every snap, and it's just about trying to take advantage when you do. Because Dean, I see a lot of Devin Bush in his game, just in how he gets to the quarterback, how he is in coverage. It's probably better than Devin Bush was in coverage, to be honest. But he's phenomenal, and it's just I really liked what Josh Gaddis said earlier today, earlier this week. He said it's not about explosive plays. They're not going into this expecting to steamroll Georgia. It's about getting positive plays. Whenever there's an opportunity for 3 yards, you get those 3 yards. If that's all you get, that's fine. But that sets you up for 3rd and 6 looks a lot better than 3rd and 10. And so sometimes you might have a situation here or there where you can get 7, 8, 9 yards, but it's really just about avoiding negative plays, avoiding setbacks, not self-combusting, things Michigan's really good at so far this season, and just getting what you can get. And I thought that was a great formula they had against Wisconsin as well. You go back and look, they only ran for 112 yards and 2.6 yards per carry, if I'm not mistaken, but there was only one tackle for loss, only one negative play. And so I think Michigan's the kind of offense that can embrace that, and I guess to that we'll just have to see, because you might create a mismatch, but you also might not. You might just have to fight for every yard you can get.
Yeah, and that's what I've admired, honestly, about this Michigan team all year, is that they've stayed true to their game plan. It's like you said, get those 3-4 yards and kind of play it dirtier, not the prettiest style of football, but it's worked for them all year, and they've never wavered from that. Zach, we got to hit a quick break, but we want to have you stick around. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll talk some offense, because obviously we've been all defense so far. So Easy's got a quick word from our friends at Les Stanford, and maybe Zach even took one of Les Stanford's vehicles down there.
Yes, sir. And just like once these offense hit the road and get going, you can find new roads with Les Stanford Chevrolet. Just like as easy as calling the number, 313-565-6000. It's Les Stanford Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Opinions are like ear holes, and we're putting ours in yours.
Well, that's not winning, Joy.
It's Woodward Sports.
And we are back here on the bottom line, filling in for Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards. I'm Nick Leach. To my right, we have our guy, Speak Easy. Easy. Obviously, I think we might have just lost Zach Shaw. Or we got him back. We've got him back.
Awesome.
He's
I
still
wanted to
here.
ask about the offense.
Yeah, we've talked a lot of defense, before we went to our quick break. But Zach's still here, thankfully, and we want to bring him back in now and talk about the offense, because that's something we haven't done. I was giving them praise for sticking to their game plan, and Cade McNamara, what a great game manager he's been all year long, and you can't say enough about the running backs for Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins. So, Zach, coming back to you, do you look at maybe, you got Jordan Davis for Georgia, that's a monster of a defensive lineman that, for me, just watching this game, that kind of worries you for these running backs just a bit. Do you look for maybe the game plan is to go more towards the outside or try the interior rush like they've done most of the year?
Yeah, you're probably going to try a few things. Talking to some of the Georgia reporters and watching some of their games myself, I do think there's some weaknesses in the slot coverage. I think they could maybe get some of those easy passes or those short passes to set up the run. I thought they did a nice job of that against Iowa, who on paper is a great run defense. Wisconsin, on paper, is technically a better run defense than Georgia. And so, can you loosen up that defense, make them guess a little bit, make them think? And then, as you mentioned, the rushing outside the tackles, I think Florida, they didn't have a ton of success. They got smoked. They lost. And they only ran for 161 yards, but at the same time, they had 75 yards on, I think it was 14 carries outside the tackles. And they're one of the few teams on Georgia's schedule that I think has comparable running backs to what Michigan can do. And that's where Blake Corum, to me, he might be the biggest key in this game, because he's back, he's fully healthy, he's made some big plays against Ohio State and Iowa, but him fully healthy, you look back to September, October, some people were thinking he was better than Hassan Haskins. And so, credit to Haskins for kind of ending that conversation with how he played down the stretch. But, he does have, Corum has that speed, he has that burst, he has that quickness. Maybe that's something Georgia hasn't faced a ton. At the same time, you also don't want to ditch your identity. You don't want to be reacting to Georgia's defense. You want to be proactive. And one thing that Michigan has that I'm very intrigued by is I think they've got an offensive line that can go toe-to-toe just from a physical standpoint. I don't know if they're going to win this matchup or anything, but they can provide that punch and make it hurt a little bit on Georgia for all 60 minutes. Most of the teams Georgia's playing, by the time they get to the fourth quarter, they're gassed, they're done. They're kind of out of it. They're out of the game score-wise, but then they're also just fatigued and not as big, not as strong, not as well conditioned. And I think Michigan's offensive line, they've shown throughout the season, more so lately, that they found that extra gear in that third and fourth quarter. Go back and watch that drive, a couple of those drives against Penn State. I thought Ohio State, there were a couple drives where, I'm sure the whole country could see one of those sides of the trenches was way more excited for those plays than the other. And then Iowa as well. Iowa, I don't think Michigan gets enough credit because they just beat Iowa so bad. That is a good defense.
Yeah.
They hadn't given up that many points in like 6 years, and they hadn't given up more than 27 in like 3 years. So it's They wore that defensive front down. So we'll see. I'm not making promises, but at the same time, I can't help but wonder if this offensive line, now that it's healthy, they've got some chemistry. They had some guys moving around throughout the season, but these last couple games, they've looked like a legit playoff caliber offensive line, and that should be a very encouraging sign for Michigan heading into this matchup. So maybe you do run inside just to keep that energy high. Keep that's Michigan's identity. That's what those linemen love to do. Maybe you feed the beast and see what you get.
Yeah, and yesterday we had a segment called Factor of Fandom, because we know how the fan bases here in the Michigan get. We kind of get a little sip of that Kool-Aid, and we think we're off to national championships and Super Bowls, and with the draft class Michigan's got coming, or leaving, I should say, with the defensive line and whatnot. Do you think they have a possibility of returning back to the college playoff next year and having just as much success as they did?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I'd have to look a little harder at who Ohio State has. I mean, that's really the big question, because Michigan's schedule next year, I think it should absolutely be a fair expectation from Michigan fans that they should go into that Ohio State game with a chance to win the Big Ten title that day. I think their road games are Rutgers, it'll be Indiana, and then Iowa. Their home games are Penn State, Michigan State. It currently says it's away, but that's going to be in Ann Arbor. They don't play anyone in non-conference that's worth anything. I mean, this is, I think there's some real staying power here. It might not be as much about the edge defenders next year, just if they're losing Hutchinson and Ajabo, but Hinton and Smith are back. I think they're going to return at least 2 starting linebackers. You look at the back 4, I suppose. You're going to have DJ Turner back. You're going to have RJ Moten, Rod Moore. I mean, guys who stepped up this season. I think that's got to be the most encouraging thing, is on the defensive side of the ball, where there were a lot of question marks. They had a lot of first-year, second-year players, first-time contributors step up. David Ajabo was telling us this week he played 26 snaps last year, and now look at him. So, I think that's huge, because on offense you are going to return pretty much everyone but Haskins, Stuber, and Vastardis. We'll see how the depth chart and everything, how that all shakes out. But at the same time, you're going to have a loaded receiver room. You're going to have a loaded running backs room. Tight end room. Tight ends really shined down the stretch of this season, and so I think their staying power. I don't know if I would pencil them in, but I think they'd be a preseason top 6, top 7 team next year.
Yeah, I agree to that. I think they have a very good opportunity now. I mean, the recruiting class that they're bringing in is pretty solid. And like you said, a lot of kind of first-year players there that you didn't know what you're going to get, but now these guys have to have all the confidence in the world. I know for me, a big part of it was that secondary, is can that secondary step up and be, a college playoff team caliber? Like, can they do that? And they've done it. Vincent Gray has been exceptional. Again, Daxton Hill has been a key piece to that. For you, what do you think is exactly crucial for Michigan to win this football game? Like, what is the one thing that they have to do well, to honestly give themselves the best chance?
Well, the thing they can do to help themselves, I mean, I sound like a broken record because it's probably a key for every game, but Stetson Bennett is not good under pressure. Correct. I mean, he's had a nice season overall, but under pressure, I have the stat, this is from Pro Football Focus, he's been put under pressure 63 times this season, which is not many, so that's something to keep in mind. But he's attempted 43 passes, and he's completed 13 of them. I mean, his passer rating, and a good college passer rating is probably 150 to 175. Under pressure, his is 81. I mean, that's just a liability. And so any pressure they can get, I think that's going to end up being a wasted play for Georgia. And from what I've seen from Georgia's offensive tackles, I think they've only given up 1 sack all season, the guys who will start tomorrow. And so that's going to be huge. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson's going to have to bring his best game, but at the same time, if they can put Bennett under pressure, and then more importantly, because I don't think they want to let Bennett get sacked all day, they'll bring in some tight ends. They got a tight end, Darnell Washington. He's 6'7", 280. He can almost he can make it so Hutchinson can't, and he's a former 5-star too, so he can move as well. But they can make it so that Hutchinson can't get sacks or Ajabo can't get sacks. But what that will do is that will limit what Georgia's offense can do, because that's an extra player you have to have on the field, in pass rushing situations to just try to avoid the sack. So my thing is create pressure early, and Georgia has to adjust. They have to react. They can't they can't put their foot on the gas. They're kind of on their heels a little bit, trying to avoid the big play. And Bennett, talking to Georgia writers and Georgia fans, the one thing about him is he is prone to turning the ball over in some of these big games. I think I saw he has 5 interceptions in his last 2 games against Alabama. I think he had a couple against Florida this year. And so it's not, I'm not saying Georgia hasn't played anybody, but they haven't been in a ton of these grand stages. And when they have, their offense hasn't really been a strength. And so I think if you can create some pass rush, I think that suddenly, it slows the game down. It allows, allows your offense to be a little bit more aggressive because they're not playing from behind. They're not getting bullied or anything. And so I think creating some early pressure, and then if Mike McDonald has some secret formula for slowing down Brock Bowers, I mean, he had 130 yards against Alabama. I mean, he's good. He's not. Those are not fraudulent yards. So anything they can do to make his life more difficult, because he's probably the main punch on offense. George Pickens, I guess, as well. But Bowers, he's the truth. He's legit good. And really, if they slow him down, I'm not sure what Georgia's going to be able to do offensively.
Yeah, I agree. It's their defense that has kind of punched everybody in the mouth this year, and all the 3 and outs, you tire out their opposing defense. So before we let you go, can we get a score prediction from you?
Yeah, I have Georgia winning. I think I said 27-16. I after thinking about it, I'd kind of probably go closer to like a 24-16. I do think Michigan's pretty evenly matched. I think just the difference is, Michigan has been in games where they have struggled. We've actually seen some areas that they've had to struggle. Really, other than the Alabama game, Georgia's defense has been perfect all season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You look at some of the numbers they've put up, and so it's hard for me to really envision, if I think about how the game's going to go, it's hard for me to envision Michigan putting up 27, 35 points in this game. And so in that case, it comes down to how often can they stop Georgia, and maybe it's a ton, but based on everything I've seen, all the looks I've given, on their offensive line, on their receiving room, the tight end room, I think Georgia's got the edge in this game. So we'll see what happens. This has been one of the tougher games to predict, but I've got Georgia. I'll modify it, 24, Michigan 16 in this game.
All right. I can respect that. So,
I respect that.
Zach, we appreciate you coming on, man. Have a blast down there in Miami. I know Easy and myself wish we were down there. So enjoy the time and don't listen to Pump It Up way too much.
Yeah, right. Hey, thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Easy. We got to get ourselves to the break. And we obviously talked a lot of defense there.
Yeah.
So who's the best defense of them all?
Hey, Michigan defense is okay, but the best defense in Michigan is Guardian Alarm. Right from your phone, you can unlock your doors, control your temperatures, control your carbon monoxide levels, control your lights, anything you want to do, detect smoke, all that stuff. It's so easy to sign up for. The number, it's 1-800
Stay out.
1-800
Stay out.
1-800
Stay out. Stay out of my house,
brother. We'll see you guys soon.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. Working with Hall Financial to purchase my first home was easier than I could have ever imagined. They treated me like family from start to finish. Find out for yourself at callhallfirst.com.
The pros know. Go! Listen Monday through Friday for Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network with Stanley Cup champ Darren McCarty, former Lion Joik Bell, and the silky voice of Neil Rule.
And we are back here on the Bottom Line Woodward Sports Network.
Yes, sir.
Filling in for Ryan Armani and Braylon Edwards. I'm here with my man Easy.
What up, though?
Easy, we do have to give a shout out to our boy Alex, who's typically where Stick sits at today in the TD booth, or as the deep end, as he wants it to be called. So everyone here in the chat, make sure you know that Alex's booth is the deep end.
What happened to Alex?
No, what happened to Alex?
You guys really haven't heard?
No, I haven't heard. You got to let us know.
So we sent Alex down to Georgia, go to the Peach Bowl. He's been covering Michigan State for us all season long. We're like, bro, go down there, just kind of document your trip. He drove by himself. We paid for his hotel room. We were able to get him press passes to the game. The guys from inside the locker room hooked it up. And today, Joey and I are looking at his social media. We're like, bro, we sent you down there to cover everything, like talk to Michigan State fans, get other fans, Pitt fans talking some trash to you, cover the event. Dude's car got broken into last night at the hotel.
No. What kind of hotel did you guys send this man to?
I was gonna say.
I'm glad you say that, because Joey and I picked out a hotel, and then I was like, you know what, Alex? It'd probably be better for you to put it on your credit card, and then we'll just reimburse you just in case you got to get down there and show your credit card or something for proof.
Ooh,
so he ended up picking a different hotel than Joey and I picked for him. A little bit more money to stay at this hotel, and Joey and I were like, bro, we gave you a budget. You went over your budget, but we got you, baby. We want you to have this cool experience down at the Peach Bowl. And woke up this morning. I guess someone took a sledgehammer right through his windshield, and we're trying to get him a new windshield as we speak, and that's why we haven't had any good coverage of the Peach Bowl.
Oh my god! Oh, it went through the windshield.
Oh yeah, they went through the windshield.
They went through the windshield?
Yeah, they busted out his windows and took everything he had in there. Luckily, he had like the Woodward Sports mic and all of his camera stuff that he was going to record in the hotel room. But man,
he got all his stuff taken, but luckily our stuff is good.
That's all I care about. He got a deductible he can pay. I ain't got a deductible for the microphone we let him borrow, the camera we let him borrow, all that stuff. So yeah, Alex had a rough go last night, and that's why we haven't gotten quite the Peach coverage, because we should have had him on this show today.
Yeah.
But he's talking to cops. He's dealing with a bunch of BS because he got broken into last night.
I wish he was documenting all of that stuff.
And that's what I told him, because he was all nervous going down. You know how Alex is. He's kind of like an introvert guy.
This would happen
He
to him.
doubts himself all the time. And I was like, Alex, you know what? If you're afraid of what content to bring back, just document your trip, like where you stop to eat, how it is going for you, people you meet along the way. And that's like the easiest thing to do. I told him, kind of take a cue from Joey, because that's what Joey's great at. And, Alex, I'm not Joey. I can't just go talk to people. I was like, bro, you could go talk to people. And so, yeah. Unfortunately, Alex has had a rough day today. It was a mistake probably for him to go down there. It was a last-minute thing, too, that we rushed. But, yeah, here's to Alex. Hopefully Michigan State wins tonight just for Alex so he can experience that at the Peach Bowl.
Oh, my goodness. Our boy
They went through his... You get robbed by a werewolf?
You're getting robbed.
His freaking windshield?
Sounds like a psycho ex-girlfriend. Like, I bust the windows out your car.
Yeah.
You are getting robbed by some psycho people if they're going in through your windshield.
Yeah.
Think about I've never even... through the windshield.
He's got to change motels. The windshield, bro? Like I said, like the werewolf, bro? Like, what are you...
Isn't there a scene in Dumb and Dumber where they kick out the windshield and they got to drive back? Is that the movie I'm thinking of?
That's not the movie. I know what you're talking about. That's not Dumb and Dumber.
You're thinking of Superbad or
Pineapple
Express.
Pineapple Express. That's exactly what it is.
That's what happened to Alex going down there. He's like, I'm smoking a little weed on the way down there. Just got a little bit too...
So the poor kid is down in Georgia by himself, car busted out, and he's still got to work, because we're like, dude, we paid for you to go down there. Give us some content.
Well, shout out to our guys on inside the locker room. Hopefully, Strayhorn and Masalam do something for the kid. Get him on the sideline or something.
He's
Make
going to have to stay in the hotel with them. He's going to be cuddled up with Strayhorn.
Someone in the chat just put they saw his license plate. That's why he got attacked.
Yeah,
so it's clearly some Pitt idiot.
Yep. Wow. Oh my goodness, poor Alex. Well, I guess we gotta talk Michigan State without him easy. So
that's insane. All right.
I'm not laughing at Alex. We're just laughing at
I am.
State.
I'm totally laughing at him. If he would have picked the hotel I signed him up for, which was cheaper and a better neighborhood, he would have been fine. But he wanted to be closer. So Atlanta ain't no joke in some spots. You gotta stay in like Buckhead and like nice spots when you go to Atlanta.
All right. Well, poor Alex. We're thinking about you here on the bottom line.
Well, at least our audio equipment's good.
If he doesn't go to Magic City now, I'm gonna be so upset.
Yeah. Oh my goodness!
Man.
All right, well, let's get into this game a little bit. Obviously, the game kicks off tonight at 7 p.m. between Michigan State and the Pitt crazy people. Kind of a reunion. Michigan State facing off against Pat Narduzzi, who was the Michigan State defensive coordinator from 2007 to 2014. The no-fly zone, I'll always remember for Michigan State. But what are you expecting out of this game? Obviously, no Kenneth Walker, no Kenny Pickett. Nick Patty's coming into the game to start for Pitt. You got Jordan Addison on the outside, who just won the Biletnikoff Award. Obviously, you got a different dynamic. You're still going to get Peyton Thorne playing for Michigan State, but it definitely makes the game way harder without Kenny Walker.
It is so hard to get a grasp or grip on what this game is going to be because, as we know, Pitt's offense has been explosive all year. However, like you said, they're going to be missing a key component of that. Two key components of that, I should say. Kenny Pickett, and yes, they had the Blitnikoff winner, catching the ball over there, but their offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple, decided to leave them just before their bowl game. He's going to be coaching in Nebraska, which I thought was a pretty weird time to decide to do that right before a bowl game. But again, speaks to these bowl games don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks. I'm going to watch it because it's Michigan State, but it's a real tough dynamic to get a grasp on what's going to happen because the people that drove these teams to this spot, a New Year's Six bowl, they're gone.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think. So they're missing offensive coordinator. It's really tough. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to go with Michigan State just from the homer side, honestly.
Yeah, so a lot of the picks actually of watching this come in, through my bookie, is like 62% for Pitt and 40, whatever the math is on that. I'm no math guy, but obviously 40 more of the 40% range or 30% range for Michigan State. But I'm kind of excited too because you get to see, obviously we saw Kenny Walker a lot. You get to see, kind of what this offense may look like a little bit for next season. So you get a bit of a preview and what that game is going to necessarily look at like is can that offense be just as good as it was all year, and can someone step up and fill that role that Kenneth Walker did. So that's kind of the highlight I look at for this game. I do like Michigan State's chances as they've been counted out all season long. I do, however, think it's going to be a close game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's decided on a last-second field goal or something crazy turnover. But I do at least like Michigan State to compete in this game.
It smashes windshield. Yeah, again, it's really tough to get a handle on. But like you said, the one thing you do have to look forward to is the head coach of Michigan State and what he can actually do in this thing without his number one guy, Kenneth Walker III. The other thing I want to say though is if you're looking at betting lines, I'd take the under in this one. Knowing both guys that drove these offenses are gone. That's if you want to talk about making money on it. If you're using promo code Woodward at mybookie.ag, you got to take the under in this game.
Yeah, and I believe the over-under is at like 58 points right now. But good news for Michigan State, though, is they do get Jaden Reed back and Jalen Naylor. So Thorne at least gets his weapons back there on the outside that, watch out for those flea flickers. Mel Tucker loves him some flea flickers, and that's why I love Mel Tucker. I think it's the most exciting play in football. But going back, we talked about a 12-team playoff for college football, and both these teams would have been in. Pitt would have been in at number 12, and Michigan State would have been 10. And I believe if it all matched up the correct way, Ohio State and Michigan State might have been playing each other. Now, don't quote me on that, but that would have been also a cool matchup to see once again if we had that format. Obviously, I get that we don't. But nonetheless, when you get two of the top 12 teams in the nation, regardless if you think the game counts, this I still think will be a great football game. Yeah, and I do expect Michigan State to win, just for the fact that the way I don't think their offense will be as explosive without Kenneth Walker III. But their bread and butter is running the football. Jordan Addison, though, that does make me really, really nervous. The Blitnikoff Award winner, but if you put on this kid's highlights, it's more than just catching the football. He's making guys miss afterwards too. He's ducking under tackles. He's making guys look foolish, and that does concern me a bit, especially knowing that our secondary hasn't looked the greatest throughout this year. And I say our secondary because, yes, I'm a Michigan State fan, but I'm just ultimately have to go with my little bias there and take Michigan in this one. And I'll take the points too, but ultimately I'm going with the under with these guys missing their key pieces of offense. I think that's a great bet for you. So I don't know if I'll necessarily chase it with you, but we'll see. I'll let you know. We got to hit a quick break, but before we do that, we just got to let you know about another football game, Lions versus Seahawks. Again, we're bringing that back up.
Yes.
But Woodward Sports, again, does a great pregame show. So we got that going on this week from 2 to 4 at O'Toole's in Royal Oak. Bring your mugs, baby. They got plenty of cold beer for you. So, it's presented by Jose Cuervo. We love Jose Cuervo as well. Big fan of that. Tequila, Gypsy Vodka. Don't mix the two. Drink responsibly. But yeah, Braylon's back. Ryan's back for that. Adam and Jade from WRIF. And our girl, Maddie. Maddie will be from the Cuervo Zone. So you definitely want to check that out. And then after the game, you get the man himself, Stick. doing the post-game show with his boy
Bottle
Anson.
popper.
Brought to you by Jim Beam.
Showstopper.
Also a big fan of Jim Beam here. So you could do almost like a bear fight. You take a shot of Jim Beam, then a tequila, and then some gypsy vodka.
Yeah, some gypsy vodka.
But just do it responsibly. That's all I have to say.
Is that what that's called, a bear fight?
Yeah, I just made it up. I think the bear fight's actually something else.
Hey, all right, let's do that.
We'll start that
I'll
here
be
on
there
the
this
show.
weekend, then.
But tune in. That Stick goes live at the 2-minute warning every single week. We've had some of the best moments here on the network this year. And you can catch that on Facebook. They stream that live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. You don't want to miss Stick and Anson's facials reaction, because it's the best. They're two totally different fans. So make sure you check them out at the Brass Rail if you're downtown. So we'll be right back.
You know why realtors love using Hall Financial as a lender? Because of our commitment to speed and service. We have nearly 4,000 5-star reviews already. Call today, 248-308-5000, or go to callhallfirst.com.
You want commercials? The other guys have those. You want great sports takes? Touchdown! What a play! Woodward Sports has those. Detroit's new sports outlet, the Woodward Sports Network.
And we are back here on the Bottom Line, Thursday, December 30th. My man Easy, I'm Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani and Braylon Edwards. They will be back next week. Don't you worry. Braylon's actually back tomorrow with the Michigan pregame show and the Sunday pregame show. Make sure you guys check them out. They do miss you. They did tell me that they did miss all the loyal listeners.
What time does the pregame show start? 5:30.
5:30 tomorrow. I was like, which one? We got two of them going on. So.
I apologize.
Yeah, you
The
should.
Michigan
You should
pregame show.
apologize.
Got the people here for Braylon, man.
And Ryan. Don't
They are
slouch
here
on
for
Ryan.
Ryan. They're here for Ryan.
Ryan's a hoot, as they would say back in the olden days.
Back in Maz days.
Yeah. Had to do that one for Maz. All right.
Hey, one of the best. Maz was trying to compliment one of our interns during one of the first initial big meetings, and he's like, "I love this kid. He's like an old shoe." We were like, "What? Who says that?"
Only Maz, baby. I miss Maz. We've had a week without him, and we haven't had a chance to harass him at all. But Easy, I want to kind of get into a segment. Again, we've done a lot of end of the year stuff here on this show this week. And I kind of want to bring in something from my show. So for anyone out there that doesn't know, I host the Going to Work podcast with three of my buddies. It's much more of a relaxed show, where you just kind of sit around with the boys and discuss what you've seen from the previous week. It's done on a weekly basis. We have a lot of fun with it, and that's, again, the Going to Work podcast. You can listen to that anywhere. But we kind of did our end of the year episode the other night, and we kind of came up with our own top 10 of sports moments for this year. So I know you haven't seen them yet, but I'm going to throw them your way and see what maybe you agree with or what you would kind of switch around. So we got to start with a few honorable mentions, because I don't want you guys to think that people were just getting left off here. So first honorable mention you have to go with is the Lions win. And, finally getting that monkey off the back for Dan Campbell. Huge moment for them. Third, we had Akil Badu going crazy with all the triples throughout the season. Rule 5 draft pick that no one expected him to be in the everyday lineup and contribute the way he did. That was a fun moment this year. Going back to opening day as well, Miggy's home run, the first MLB home run to kick off the season in the snow. Coming down snow, you couldn't even see the ball go out to right field because of it was almost a whiteout condition. He slid in a second, ended up being a home run just over the fence, so that was awesome. And then our last honorable mention was, Chris Illich and Al Avila spending some money again. It's exciting. That's an exciting moment / news story that we thought should definitely be talked about. So really looking forward to the Tigers, obviously, in 2022. But kind of kicking off our top 10 list is Dan Campbell's press conferences all year long. I mean, from biting kneecaps to crying to talking about the coffee, like Dan Campbell and the press conferences were electric this year, and it was some of the biggest stories for the Lions.
That'd be the top 10. It's tough because he's had so many. If you're trying to break it down, he literally this top 10 with a bunch of them. One of my favorite quotes of Dan Campbell this year was him making the comments of bringing an actual lion on the field and keeping him on a chain. Obviously came in with the race car helmet. I love Dan Campbell. Yeah, he's definitely deserves to be top 10. I'm cool with that. Yeah,
you couldn't just pick one. You had to throw all of his press conferences in there. Number 9 on our list was Michigan basketball making the Elite 8. So it seems like a lot of people kind of forget about that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michigan State went out in the first 4 games against UCLA, and then UCLA came all the way down and beat Michigan.
Yeah.
And then lost to Gonzaga on the Jalen Suggs game winner. So, But it was cool to see, Juwan Howard getting that team fired up. Hunter Dickinson was electric for them all year, and it was our first time we didn't get the March Madness the year before because of COVID. So at least having one of the Michigan teams make it that far, that was an exciting moment that we thought as well.
8 seems kind of low for that one. Not gonna lie. But
No,
I don't know
9.
what else is on there. It was 9.
That was only 9.
So 9's
You got
even
to
lower
celebrate.
than
There
8.
hasn't been a lot of successes, to talk about this year. So
Yeah.
that was one of them
Okay.
at least. Number 8 on our list is the emergence of Raymond and Sider. Lucas Raymond, Mo Sider, becoming rookie sensations in the blink of an eye. We knew they would be good. We were trusting the Weiser plan. Excuse me. And D-Mac sat here himself and threw that sticker or that piece of paper on his face. And
the Weiser plan.
And that's been that whole story with both those guys has been absolutely awesome. So they made number 8 on our list for that reason, especially with how good the Red Wings are playing. Number 7 on our list was Spencer Turnbull, the no-hitter for the Lions back in May. So it was the first no-hitter in about a decade, literally just over a decade since Verlander had his in 2011. Both did it in the month of May. I think it was like 10 years and a couple days past for Spencer Turnbull. But what a great moment for that season. That's kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily it was the turning point for their season, but it was definitely a key factor. They had that terrible April. They got into the month of May, started winning some games, and then that no-hitter kind of took it to the next level in what that team did. And unfortunately, we lost him for the rest of the season and what looks to be the 2022 season. But Spencer Turnbull, the no-hitter, coming in at number 7 for us.
That works for me.
Any objections so far?
I would. No.
All right, I'm just gotta make sure we get the speakeasy approval.
I gotta see them all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's tough. It's tough.
All right, let's keep this thing moving. So, moving on to number 6, Big Ben himself. Ben Wallace. I've always wanted to do that on microphone, so I'm glad I actually did that.
I could tell. That one's rehearsed a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you never put on like the final countdown and did like the intros for the 04 team?
I could just tell your mom was like at one point like doing her makeup in the mirror, and you said that, and she was like, just got lipstick all over the side of her face. Like, what the hell was that?
But no, number 6 on our list, Ben Wallace, the first ever undrafted NBA player to make the Hall of Fame.
Such a gangster.
Huge moment. And that's kind of, I don't know if any of the other best 5 alive with Chauncey and Rip will actually make it into the Hall of Fame as a player. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Chauncey's coaching now. But that kind of solidified that team even more to see Ben Wallace. So he came in at number 6 for us. Number 5 on our list, Michigan State football. The season that they had, coming at 10-2 after the COVID year. Kenneth Walker, Mel Tucker getting the 10-year extension. That whole story in itself, the whole Michigan State football program came in at number 5 for us. So you had to make sure that got on there somewhere.
Absolutely.
Number 4, Miguel Cabrera's 500th home run. So one of the most anticipated things for the Tigers and for just the MLB in general is there's only 16 other players to ever do that and make their name on that list, and to watch him do that.
Hits too.
Yeah, that's coming up. Not yet, but that'll be happening hopefully in April or May. So Miggy finally getting that mark was a huge moment that I'll never forget. Number 3 on our list, Cade Cunningham, number 1 overall draft pick. Pistons winning the lottery. Both those are go hand in hand with each other. So that was no doubt going to be the number 3 on our list. You ready for the top 2?
I'm ready for top 2.
I wish it was almost time for a break so I could go to the break and keep you on the cliffhanger. But
I feel like
we got plenty of time for that to still happen here. But number 2 on our list, Matthew Stafford traded to the Los Angeles Rams.
Was that 2021?
Yeah, that was earlier this
officially.
year. Yeah,
that's right. Because when was the Conor McGregor fight? I know it was the same night.
Dude, I don't know. I had too much Gypsy vodka probably that night.
That's true.
I drank it responsibly though. So Matthew Stafford, obviously one of the biggest stories in football, proving still to be 17 weeks later into the NFL through preseason. He was in the MVP talks for a while, but that was a huge moment in Detroit sports, something they've never really done. The Lions organization's never done. Calvin sat here in the studio and talked about, he would have gone and played somewhere else had the Lions let him go. So this was kind of a signal for a lot of fans, like, okay, maybe Sheila Ford Hamp is doing something different with this Lions organization. So that's number 2. And then number 1, obviously, is Michigan football, winning the Big Ten title and clinching a college football berth. Obviously, the most successful team that we have here in Detroit/Michigan. So that one had to be the number one for a success story, and for Jim Harbaugh, who had been here for 7 years now.
Yeah, I'd probably even put, I guess to change it up a little bit, I'd probably put the victory over Ohio State, won, maybe even over the Big Ten title, because that moment, it was fantastic. Everything you want to romanticize about football, you had the snow, the underdog, everything that you'd put in a movie was there. It was beautiful. The fans stormed the crowd, or the fans stormed the field, I should say, despite COVID and snow, and it was awesome. The pictures that came out of that were amazing, man.
Yeah,
all over social media. The one thing I'd probably move up Michigan State. And maybe it's kind of, it's all like the season, but the victory they had over Michigan, I'd move that one up too, because and I could be biased in that, but that was amazing too, because they were down that one. Kenneth Walker obviously should have been a Heisman candidate. I'm still going to speak out his name as a Heisman candidate, but he did his thing. 5 touchdowns in that game. You had one of the all the biggest names in sports here in Michigan for that one. The guys from Barstool, guys from ESPN, Fox, they're all here in Michigan for that one. As the same for the Ohio State game, and everything else though. I think. How
do you think the Going to Work podcast boys did?
I mean it's fair. I don't have no gripes with it.
All right, well, I appreciate that. So obviously, got to give a shout out to my boys, Steady Eddie, the legend, Luke. Typical Mackie, Mad Mac, as we call him at the podcast, always mad about something. So, gotta give a shout out to those boys again. If you haven't checked us out yet, we have a lot of fun with that podcast. Comes out once a week, pretty much every single Monday. So you can find that Apple Podcast or Spotify.
Shameless plug.
Under the
respect it.
It's under the Woodward Sports umbrella, so I have no problem plugging that in. So, easy. We got to get to a quick break, and then obviously we'll come back and get our videos of the day. But what do you miss most about not having any hair?
I currently don't have any hair.
That's what I said. What do you miss most about not having any hair?
What I miss most about not having hair?
Yeah.
I currently not have any hair.
Am I saying it
most
wrong?
about having hair?
Oh, yeah, I guess I was saying it wrong.
I'll tell you what, though. If I did have hair, you know where I'd go?
Would you go to Lady Jane's?
I'd go to Lady Jane's.
Lady Jane's is the best place to get your hair cut. Or easy, you could still go there. You could maybe ask them to trim the beard up, or get a little scalp massage, get a little neck shave. At the back of your neck still hairy.
Boy, the back of your neck look like.
But come into Lady Jane's. It's open 7 days a week from 10 to 8. You could see any one of the beautiful stylists inside here. And like I said, told you guys all week, my favorite thing to do, come in and decompress, sit on the most comfortable chairs in all the land, watch some sports, kick back. It might take you 5 minutes to get in the chair and get your hair cut. Could take half hour. They are a busy place, but football is here. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
I'm Kay Cunningham. Working with Hall Financial to purchase my first home was easier than I could have ever imagined. They treated me like family from start to finish. Find out for yourself at callhallfirst.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
And we are back! This is the bottom line. I had to do it one last time.
Oh,
Easy.
yeah.
One last time out of break.
One time for the one time. Last one of 2020.
Yeah, why don't you do it one more time? I know you want to.
Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I got you. Hold on. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. The bottom line with Ryan Armani and Braylon Edwards. It's December 30th. The last.
This is the last show of the 2021 year. I am Nick Leach filling in for Ryan Armani. Speakeasy that you just heard yell all over that mic, filling in for Braylon Edwards.
Yes, sir.
We've had a lot of show doing someone just put in the chat. Someone said pour out some gypsy for Alex M's window.
Bro, his windshield.
That might be the best story of that. Might just go up to the top of the list.
I was literally, when you first started the list, I was like fresh in my mind. I wanted to say that, but I was like, let me my man Nick get through this list first. Like, who you forgot? His windshield, bro.
His windshield, unbelievable. I wish we had the video.
I swear they're gonna find like the hair of a werewolf. Bro, who goes through a windshield?
Joey this. I was just telling Joey this. I said, that's the story, man. The fact that he's not documenting this, like, that's the story.
Exactly.
You went down there, you got your stuff busted out. Like, that's the content we need.
Home.
He came home? Did we get his windshield straightened out?
I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know. He's got his mom involved, so I step back.
Oh, Mama Mayor's involved in everything.
We just met her, too.
Oh, shout out.
But that's the story, Alex. Show us your window. Show us it got broken into. People love watching train wrecks.
We need everyone in the chat to go over to Alex's Twitter and start tweeting at him, tell him we want the window picture, show us the pictures, we want all the content we get. So head over to his Twitter. I think it's AlMay99 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, AlMay_99. And damn right you better document that. Terry Foster and I missed out in the Sun Bowl for you to go down there, so you better document your window getting broken, all that.
I'm not, obviously this isn't the same Sun Bowl type level, but this is a great Peach Bowl story.
This is, if he makes it a story, he's not. We're hearing about it through Stick. We want to hear about it through Alex. I want to see his tears.
I should have lived this through his social media with him. Yes. I should have seen him walk out and see the car and be like, "Oh my god," and crying on camera. I'm not getting that.
Yeah, we're disappointed you and Alex, and the chat's going to agree with
Alex,
us.
We're mad at you for getting your windshield broken.
We want to be a part of it.
Exactly.
All right,
I missed the Sun Bowl for that.
All right, Easy. Since Alex doesn't have any video for us, I think you got a couple videos for us to kind of wrap up this.
This one, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to play. I don't know what quite to make of this one. Stick, if you want to put it on the screen. I guess I'll let you guys see for yourself. So we're going to talk over this one.
And narrate what's going on because people on the radio can't.
I have to narrate what's going on, but I'm trying to think of a way to do it without also violating the FCC. Because there's another woman. There's liquor or some sort of substance.
Probably gypsy vodka.
Probably gypsy vodka being poured into a woman's mouth. Water falling from her mouth, rolling off her tongue into another woman's mouth, and I don't.
It's like feeding birds liquor. That's what she's doing.
Some bird feeding going on. They look like they're not bad looking, but it's a weird image.
That girl's an astronaut. She has a NASA jacket on.
She's part of the Space Force. I couldn't stop looking at this video, so I had to bring it to you guys to see what you guys make of it. Nick, is this an activity? Is this what you call a bear fight? Is that how you do a bear fight?
No. You should be shot for this. Like, this is just repulsive. Like, she's got her tongue out and it's just like dripping off of her tongue. Like, haven't you heard of this thing called COVID?
Yeah,
COVID's a thing right now.
That is true. I didn't know if I liked it, if I was grossed out. I don't.
You really think that's the worst thing that girl put in her mouth this week?
Yeah. You're right. But no,
her boyfriend's probably the one who broke into Alex's car.
Oh my God! Don't try that at home, people. That's just messed up, and we will shun you forever.
Again, I didn't know if I liked it or if I was grossed out. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Mommy, I'm confused.
I liked it.
Yeah,
Steve, have you ever seen like that? Obviously, you hosted a lot of clubs and stuff back in your day. Did you ever see anything like that?
Oh, God, I've seen everything like that. When we used to bust out whipped cream in Canada, it would get insane. Girls, you could just like put whipped cream on any girl and point to another girl and be like, lick that off. No matter where it is, they're licking that off. I love club hosting.
Easy, go take
I
a
miss
cold
it
shower.
so much. Oh, dude, we got to do a Woodward Sports Club night.
All right, I'm down. I've never been to the club outside of the strip club. I've never been to the actual club.
We can do that too.
No shame in that game.
It was just never like my vibe. It was people like dancing, like stepping all on each other's shoes, and like people like just aggressively drunk. I just never was my scene. I never wanted to be part of that.
You got to come with us because once you have the microphone in your hand and you're hosting the club, it's a completely different ball game.
We got the kings of Detroit here when it comes to hosting clubs with Joey and Stick.
That is very true.
We definitely got to make that happen. You got another video for us?
Yes, we have another video. Detroit great Bart Scott. Can't wait. Our boy Spencer, infamously, imitated his famous interview, I guess you'd call it. But we have him having another one of these moments on ESPN today. Responded to Joe Burrow's 500-yard game against his Ravens and up in the score.
Ultra in Baltimore. And listen, the last thing you ever want to do is poke the bear. Okay, and you were the team that, nobody had expectations for. You won a game, and you beat them twice. Congratulations. You know what you've won for your wins? You won a lifetime career ass kicking from the Baltimore Ravens going forward. Because guess what? Our rival is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And listen, it's a way we go about it. Zach Taylor, you're involved in this too, right? You want to sit up here and you want to run the score up. You won't get the benefit of the doubt. And listen, I guarantee you, it's called red dot. And every Raven, a forward Raven, understand what the red dot means. You can be swagged out. You ain't no tough guys, but you will not get the benefit of the doubt. I guarantee you, he will not last long in this division. They going to make sure they become headhunters. Whenever they go against him, he going to get the rib shot. He going to get the neck shot. He going to get the tackle with his arms, make his head bounce off the ground shot. He getting all that because you want to add a little smoke on your face. Whatever, Macaulay Culkin.
Thank you, Lewis.
But you're not playing anymore. It don't matter. Them go. It's a culture. It don't. Team no more. It's a culture. They still got killers. In Cincinnati, they got nice athletes. They ain't got no killers. They ain't got no killers over there.
Oh my God!
If that don't say Detroit, that's just awesome. But it's interesting enough because obviously Bart Scott, former Baltimore Raven, as he was a Jet too, great linebacker in the NFL. But earlier on in the season, the Ravens actually set a rushing record, most consecutive games for like 100 yards or something like that. I think 43, and it's against the Denver Broncos. And Vic Fangio and their defensive coordinator had taken a stance on that, say, hey, what the hell is this? The game could have been over. You guys just could have took the knee, and this thing would have been done. But you guys want to go against for a record on us. And then here you go. This might be an example of karma. You have Joe Burrow, second-year quarterback, going against the same team, the Baltimore Ravens, and he's putting up stupid numbers. 524 yards, I think, is set up there on the Ravens, and then the Ravens. Well, I can't say the coaching staff, but the brass didn't react to the same. They didn't like it when the shoe was on the other foot in that one. I
mean, who does? No one likes to be put in that position, especially when you're getting your butt whooped and Joe Burrow's throwing it 45 yards down the field to Joe Mixon. I got to laugh out of it because, like I said earlier in the week, Wink Martindale came in and said, Jamar Chase, obviously not Devontae Adams, Joe Burrow, not Aaron Rodgers. And, they take exception to that. Everyone around the league watches what these other teams do. So they knew if, there was a record for Joe Burrow to get, which he was on pace for, chuck the ball up. Let's go. But the best comment that Bart Scott made out of that is calling Joe Burrow Macaulay Culkin. And I feel like that flew under the radar. And then you get Lewis.
That did fly under the radar. I didn't even catch that.
And I know that comparison's been made before, but hearing Bart Scott's pissed about it like he's still on the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and then the thing too is he was on the Jets. I think this was the last team he was on before ultimately he retired from the league. So that's hilarious to me. I don't have an issue with that. Some people, he was trending earlier today. I don't think it's an issue. It's a rivalry, bro. He's a Raven. He's allowed to be mad. It is what it is.
It is what it is, baby.
On the next one, Jake Paul undercard, though, I do want to see Joe Burrow versus Bart Scott. I'm here for that one.
Yeah, I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. Well, Easy, this has been an absolute blast with you all week, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Got to give a shout out to Ryan and Braylon for letting us do their show all week. Everybody that's been in the chat, thank you so much for all your support. Hopefully, like I said, we get to do more stuff like this in the future and keep watching for stuff that we're putting out. Shout out to Sam in our sound booth. Fish was here earlier this week. Sick in the TD booth, and our man Alex Mayer.
If I may, just real quick too, if you guys want to continue to listen to Nick and I, like he said earlier, we have our own podcast as well, the Speakeasy Podcast. I'm much more active on YouTube than I am anything else, but Nick also has his podcast, the Going to Work podcast, and that's the Detroit Going to Work. That's a I-apostrophe Going to Work. And the Speakeasy, obviously the word speak, the letters easy podcast. Check us out.
Yep. And for one last time, Happy New Year to all of you. This is the bottom line for 2021. We will see you all in 2022. Have a safe and happy New Year, and go blue.
And win.